As we, like we do every night at this time, get ready for a very powerful lecture. This one is entitled The Soul in Tice. As always, as you drop in, go ahead, drop an ashe over there in the comments so I know you here. That's how I learn more navigation within coming of age, becoming the day. I always get so smoky in here. I never knew why. Because I be lighting so much shit at once. But yeah, this is the Soul in Tice lecture. And we're going to get into the breakdown of the origins of this season, holiday season, everything that's been going on. I wanted to drop out get some stuff on record because our words, we are the magic. Therefore, the words that we use create the spells once you understand the spell, you understand the power that you have. It takes us into that level of whatever we speak and we put out. That's what we produce into our reality. Got some shamanic backgrounds in the background. But yeah, basically I wanted to get into the basics of understanding based on this level of where we are at. And I dropped a couple of jewels on my live on my Facebook. But we're at a stage now where nothing outside of you should matter in the aspect of it is a distraction, nevertheless. What we are facing a lot of the times is reflections of unhealed issues, unhealed traumas, unhealed triggers that have happened throughout this time. Something that we look at in this very moment that are continuously happen are the effects of the original causes that we caused. A lot of the things that we look at, one thing that I've looked into a lot with the ancestors and the ancestry and the civil rights movement and all these movements in the Black Panther Party and all these monumentous parties at their time, they created a chaos that was the cause that created the effects of what happened after. You've been primed, prepped, and trained for these moments. So a lot of the times we get locked in to the humanity aspect. Somewhere against the lines of the fall, we started thinking that we were humans because we were basing on that survival and that level where we were at. So in starting where our ancestors started at is only going to lead you to that same thought process of, oh shit, you're only repeating yourself. So the thought process of an economic plan, the thought process of, as Panic said a lot, Henry said, all that shit's over with. An economic plan, educating for your children, black community, all that's over with. And that's based on the paradigm and based on the thought process of, if you understand that all of this is an illusion any fucking way, why do you need an economic plan based on an illusion? A lot of people are in the mindset of just wanting a better shack, a better horse and buggy, a better potato sack to wear on the plantation. We're past that level and we're still trying to live in those moments. I used the example of soul food a while back. They gave us the worst parts of the animal and we made soul food. Okay, now that you're at a point, it's like they know what you're going to use based on you're not creating anything else, based on the triggers and the traumas that have kept you distracted this long. So with that being locked into your mind, that being locked into your subconscious, you can't see past anything else to create anything new under the sun. You can't seem to see that you need to be creating something new based on what is here at this point. Through the putrefaction, that's alchemy, from the nothingness that you thinking is nothing, from that hatred, from that anger, from that sorrow, from those tears, from the trail of tears, from all this shit that you've been in, this is where you're supposed to create from. But you're looking at it from a base of morality. So the images that can get repeated to you over and over again based on morality have you askewed from taking in what you need to, taking in the information or the observations in order to fucking heal. So you'll come to the next year and the next year and the next year and the next year and the year after that and the year after that, waiting. You'll go through an entire year. It don't even matter if you come into the year talking about, oh, this is a full moon here and a full moon here and a full moon here and a full moon here. Your intentions are powered by what has your attention. Your attention is digressed from what has you distracted. Your intentions are powered by your intention. Therefore, your attention is siphoned by what has you distracted. So if I say, okay, cool, everybody get into full moon ritual, top of the year, let's all meditate, let's all bring our energy up to that level and focus and invoke our energy and bring down that, evoke that energy of ourselves and invoke that energy into each other and do it now. And we make that entire fucking plan. I can guarantee that in between today to New Year's, I think it's like 6 days till Christmas, the winter solstice, actually, the last day of the winter solstice, there will be distraction after distraction after distraction after distraction within your life, custom tuned to your psyche, custom tuned to your mind. That's what's going to keep you down. That little mind still sleep. You have to take yourself to the next level. The only way you're going to take yourself to the next level is by putting in that work on the things that have encased your soul. We're going to get into the claustrum. We're going to get into the effects, and then we're gonna give you I'm gonna give you that reality check of like why this is why they did this and this is why they did this based on their understanding. Their intellectual level is your floor. The intellectual level that they are on is their ceiling. Their level of understanding, that is their ceiling. They can keep pushing that ceiling up, but they can't go through that ceiling. That's all they have. Even the dead, they get to a certain point and they believe that that's their ceiling. You can work with the Negro, but you can't work with the coon. The coon knows that Jesus isn't real. Fuck Jesus. The coon will tell you fuck Jesus. Jesus isn't real. The white man this. The white man is the devil. The white man is the enemy. All these things to appease to your ego and get you emotional. But the Negro, out of ignorance, will defend the same thing because they don't know any better. That's that balance on this level. On this level, over and over again, they tell you you can either be one of two ways. You can't do anything else but live in one of these two lights that they give you. The Negro, the Mr. Brown, and the reality nigga, reality TV show rapper, the Stevie J, the Jocelyn Hernandez, they give you the example of what you can be, what you need to be presented as, or you can be the card carrying coon. I do all this stuff. I'm gonna empower my black people, but you married to a white woman, whatever it may have you be. You going outside, you're not invoking any of your power. You're not invoking any of that power of yourself into something like you to magnify it. You're putting your energy into an archon energy, an archon source put beside you to further siphon you, so you'll never ever be able to get to a certain level that you need to get to. And we're gonna get into that. But that thought process. So you're battling against the different facets or the different versions of yourself that you need to tap into. It's a thought that you've had. Every thought that you've had, your subconscious has recorded. Remember, your subconscious records everything. So just like every trauma, every trial, every tribulation that your ego has built a defense against, as it's coming upwards, your subconscious is literally expelling this information that now is coming in front of you as a reflection because you now created this reality. Now you must face it. You got to go through that desert for them 40 days. You got to go through that desert before you can get to the land of the milk and honey. You got to go through, you got to get on that ark, that boat, and go through that steps. You got to go up Jacob's ladder to get to that land. They're giving you every image outside of you to make you think that this shit has already happened or is about to happen or this is what they had to do. They're still fighting over Jerusalem and all the Palestine, the Jordan River. They're still fighting over all this shit. They can never leave those spaces because the way that they attain that space, the only way that space, in that illusion, in that spot, in that moment can still exist is by them keep pouring in the same energy. They have to keep sacrificing the same amount of power and energy into those spaces for it to exist. The same thing in your fucking life. The only way you're going to do anything is by stop sacrificing your energy on a negative side of that polarity into things that no longer fit you. You shrinking yourself or trying to stay smaller in a space that no longer fits you. You're trying to be the smartest nigga in your circle. I don't want to be the smartest motherfucker in my circle. Because I know as I'm going to these higher levels, I need to have people that have been to the level that I'm trying to get to in order to get that knowledge. It's nice to appease your ego. If you like to appease your ego and you like to argue and you like to debate the knowledge and the facts that you've been doing and you ain't even realized that shit's been going on for the last 10, 12 fucking years, that shit is actually deaded itself out, and now all you have left now is Hebrew Power Rangers. Fucking now they doing arguments and shit. They're arguing over the same thing over and over and over again. They became the TBN of YouTube. If you look at the TBN network on network television, on cable, every year they talk about the same shit every fucking year. They have nothing else to fucking talk about. They talk about the same shit every fucking year. They do the same repeat every single year. To the dreamers, to the ones that hope that that's going to happen. So they can keep saying, well, the TV said it. That way, if it doesn't happen, they have someone to blame it on. They want this information, so if it doesn't work, they have someone to blame it on. You said it was going to do this, and you said it was going to do that. I said, when I perform this ritual, when I put in this work based on the example, tell a story, my mom did this, and my uncle did this, and this, and this, boom. Then I did this work. I acknowledged what the hell was in the way, and I pushed through it, and I unlocked that sphere on my kether. I locked that spear on my kether, and then I rose myself into the next level. This is what happened. The methodology works, but you got to put in the formula that the formula that's being missing for a lot of people is you're trying to base it off of somebody else's experience. And the first thing about spirituality is about your own experience. It's not about somebody else's experience. It's about your own. How you get to your path, how you get to the light, how you get to the next level, that's based on you. It's not based on what I went through. Even if I sat here and I had a friend or I had someone in my life and we went through the same amount of things together, we both went through the same amount of shit together, same hardships, ups and downs, behind closed doors at his house, there was different shit that happened at that house. Behind my doors at my house, there was different shit that happened in my house. That's the difference. The personal behind that door. That door that you need to go into is the only you can get into that door. The level of this energy where this shit resonates within you, only you have the key to that door to where the God dwells, to where we have these conversations. It's on you. Sorry, I'm a little bit loud. Lot of power. But you got to put yourself in this positioning for yourself. There's nothing outside of you that's going to bring forth to you anything more than once you tap into your power source. Once you tap into you, that's when the fun begins. That's when that ugliness happens. That's when all that shit starts to work itself up. Remember, as you jumping in, we just doing a nice little, we warming it up right now. So as you come in, go ahead and drop an Ashe in the comments so I know you in. Finally made it. And there was such thing as late. There's always only thing that matters is now. But taking that thought process into yourself, something as simple as you can't even imagine what's after this because you still stuck on what's happening in. You still allowing your life to be filled with the very distractions that got you here in the fucking first place. Generic ancestors. I can give you the list of the ancestors that I deal with on a daily basis in my life. They're all directly tied to my bloodlines, as well as the ancestors that I've learned from talking. You have to start, the starting point is where you're at. So when you hear somebody speaking in an aspect of, in their aspect for their life, they feel like they need to follow something. Their entire life they've been following something any fucking way. It's safer. There's going to be people that are going to take that safe route. I'm not here for the safe route. I'm not here for the safe route. I already been through enough shit in the human, in that human aspect of myself before I deal that humanity and ego up that prepared me for this. I didn't die with that shit. That's the shit. That's what you got to think about it. You're at this point and you haven't died yet. Now, there's people around you that may have passed and transitioned and all that. Those are the energies. Your job, the reason that you're still here is because you're supposed to use that energy for going further. That's what that energy is there for. My very first ancestor that I personally watched transition. It's now at this very point that I still can't truly explain what happened at that moment. But now that I'm at this point in my life, I'm at this point in my level of my life, the aspect of understanding that when my cousin Felix passed, when I was 13, he was 14, he was 15, shot in the back because we were running through an alley. We were running through an alley in Uptown, trying to get back to. We're in that alley by the Apollo, and the day before we went defended one of our cousins, one of our friends, and his cousin's girlfriend's cousin, and then got in a fight with the dudes. The dude saw us again, and we were running through the alley. We got in the tussle, and we tried to hop the fence, and he got shot in the back, and he passed. He laid in my arms. I watched his blood rose through my fingers. For months, years after that, I remember waking up to that same fucking dream, that same fucking vision, waking up with his blood on my fucking hands, and I'm sitting there holding him, asking for help. I yelled for help like 4 times. After the 4th time, this weird light came to me, this weird sense came to me, and I just stopped yelling. That was my first ancestor. Still fuck with my cousin Felix to this day. Got his spirit name, got a download on that. That's an ancestor for me. So when I put an altar together and I put his colors, and then I understand you going through that history, you're starting to put this shit together, the fragments together for your personal path and your personal journey. His favorite color was blue. He liked this candy, he liked this flavor, he did this. I understand the archetype of what he represented in this level. Because you only can do so much in this form. So now I'm like, damn, that's one of my ancestors. I remember when my pop passed in 2003, March 13th, 2003. And how I felt. I remember when I had to go to Puerto Rico to go see him in the hospital. I told everybody San Juan because if I told them where we really went, where I really had to go, they motherfuckers would have thought I was motherfucking lost my fucking mind. But I went into Puerto Rico's broken down into 3 parts. The top part, that's the tourist attraction. That middle part, that's for the tourists. That's like when you don't step off the resort. And that bottom part, that's straight nigga shit. That's straight voodoo. That's straight that's all that ancient. That's all that ancient energy. And that's why I went to go see him. And I remember he was laying there on his deathbed. He was laying there on his bed, ready to transition. I can say transition now. First, I was saying death. Laying on his bed, and he told me 3 things. He told me that I was a king. He said, "You're going to become something more." This is based on his level of intelligence as he was breaking through. Your level of intelligence, and no one's going to be able to stop you once you realize what you are. Some of the strongest words were spoken to me by that man. That's that level of energy. That's how you have to go through shit to unlock that power to understand who the fuck your ancestors are. So all this, my ancestors, this is all they talking about. This the same equivalent to talking about fucking angels, and Brother Planet breaks that down. That's the same equivalent to talking about fucking angels. And then equivalent talking about the white man this and the white man that. That is a demon or a Damien that you have failed to understand. That is an intelligence that you have failed to understand. That is an intellectual part of yourself that you have failed to understand. That's why that distraction can become so prominent, because you're so emotional. You don't want to fucking learn from it. You got to learn from this shit. That's the key. Learning. Where you're somewhere in your mind, your subconscious, you're still thinking that learning is what you learned in fucking school. The repetition and memorization of fucking ABCs. How many people can say their ABCs backwards? You can say it forwards because you know the song or the tune that went with the fucking word ABCs. You can't even say your ABCs without humming that fucking song in the back of your mind. Even if you don't even do it out loud. Same way with your numbers. Same way with time. Same way with thinking about when they told you about money. Same thing they told you about fucking colors. Repetition over and over. Drilling that into your mind. These images. If I came from a place where I never saw any fucking colors, and I came here and someone said this is the color blue and this is the color fucking orange, the sky is blue, and I never learned what the fuck colors were, I'm gonna look at them like they lost their fucking mind. Because I didn't go through the same training that they went through. I didn't go through the same trauma or the same triggers that they went through. They have us in the mindset similar on this fucking holiday season bullshit. Peace to all men, all tidings. They give you all of the good in your fucking face. But they won't let you get the ugly facts of the truth. And then you sit there in a position trying to figure out then what's next. But you got to understand those basics. When I dropped the first one was the reaping. That unlocked that imagery into your mind of what the fuck they reaping from what you're sowing. Your soul is the only source of power. You can't sell your soul. That's spookism. But you can give access to your soul to somebody else because you don't know what the fuck it is. You don't know what it is, you can give it away. When you know what it is, you can actually covet it. When you love something, you covet it. So in their twisted sense of intellectualness, twisting everything around, they love you. That's why they worship you so much. They give you gifts. You've been the devil this entire fucking time and didn't even fucking realize it. That's your dark side energy. If you look at any fucking movie and you look at all the debaucheries, you look at all the debaucheries that entice evil. And then you think about the things that they do to you on a daily basis and making you look like a fucking savage. And then look at the things that you did, and then your dead friends, the dead people are still doing. Gang banging, going around shooting motherfuckers, all that dumb shit. That's the debauchery that would appease the darkness. So all they're doing is giving their they're doing the same sacrifices that you did at a point in time, because what has worth to them as their property. And you're still trying to be fucking human. All they see you is as property. Because they weren't created with the compassion of a God. So they give you emotion. Things that resonate with them the most, that's what they love, because that's what they've been taught themselves to love. They still won't let Michael Vick off the fucking hook over some shit he did fucking damn near a decade of fucking ago, because they love their dogs. Because that's part of their DNA. They love their fucking swine and their fucking pigs. Because that's, when you look at the history, that's what they were grafted from. History Neanderthals, the RS monkey gene, all that shit, that's what they were grafted from. So in order for it to exist at this level, that shit must be prevalent at this level in controversy. The same reason this shit exists, based on their arrogance and their intellectual level, is the same way it's going to be destroyed. But you got to come from it from invoking your energy and stop evoking this dumb shit up into the head. You want to sit here and, oh my God, nigga, fuck the white man. I don't care about the white. After you see them for what they are, you can't turn that shit off. For a damn near 5 years straight, when Jackass came out and every other fucking movie that had the fucking Jackass brothers, Bad Majera, all them motherfuckers doing what the fuck they want, kicking each other in the nuts, smacking each other, fucking pinching their fucking balls and doing all this dumb shit like that. That's what the fuck they are. Fucking monkeys. Acting like fucking monkeys. Then they call you a fucking monkey and you get mad. I want them to take that shit back. How dumb do you fucking look thinking they're going to take... You know the fucking truth. They know the fucking truth. But you're waiting for them to tell you, so what you going to do next? If they sat here and told you literally half of the information that has been put out, all this knowledge that's been put out, you wouldn't even still look, because you're still waiting on somebody to give you some information for you. You're still waiting on something outside of you to give you information that don't look like you, that's dressed up in that image that you were taught was a safety net for you in order for you to move forward with it. See, they're giving it. So now you'll sit there and be like, oh, yeah, they gave me some good information. Not all of them are bad. Muhammad Ali said that shit the fucking best. If there was 1,000 rattlesnakes coming down these fucking stairs at me, and 500 of them rattlesnakes meant good and they would protect me, do I have to actually, am I going to sit here and let all the snakes down to see if them 500 rattlesnakes protect me? Or do I close the door and say, you know what? I ain't let none of that shit through. I'll observe it through the people. I'll look at their actions through the people. I'll judge them through the eye of that needle. I'm a God, right? It's a thought process. My fucking third eye's fucking throbbing, been throbbing this entire fucking time. The thought process of where you're at and what you're on The process of what you're on, a lot of people hit me up whenever we start our lecture, whenever we start our conversation. Everybody want to, what you doing? You know what I've been doing ever since Monday. Don't ask me what the hell I'm doing. You know what I'm about to put down. You know what I'm putting out there. You know I'm about to put out that work. You know I'm about to put in that work. Don't ask me that dumb question. Tune in and tune out. It's doing what it's supposed to do. 1 second. You have to step out of the shadow of others, being blanketed in that light that they cast, and it creates their shadow. So you living in that fucking shadow and start putting in fucking work for your damn self. That's what this is all gonna boil down to. When I put out entertaining what's draining, what are you willing to let go of? Your siphoning. That was under that same premise of like, we're sitting here literally, I'm gonna give my energy to what? Outside. And it comes to you in a reflection on a macro level. Because you're still thinking human shit. And since you're still thinking the human shit still happens to you. It still phases you. You still care. In order to break that trance, you got to get hit with something with the same magnitude of force to shatter that shit. That's how that pressure for them jewels makes those pipes. That's how that pressure busts that coal down into that jewel. That shit gotta hit. So when I say shit like I don't give a fuck about them kids, when I can say shit like that, it's because I'm at a different level when the compassion level. The same, because I'm saying what you need to fucking say to your fucking self. With these people, what the motherfuckers are saying, we need to care about the children and get the education right for the kids. The fuck are you really fucking saying? You want them to change the curriculum that was not suited or meant for what you wanted to do. You want them to change this economic system to include you in some shit that it ain't even supposed to fucking do. It trickles down. It trickles down. Everything starts in the spiritual realm. The ones of us that have come into that level or are coming online to that level, it's going to start with us at that level. But we have to let go of the humanity and the ego. Because ego gonna have you tripping on eggshells, afraid to speak, and humanity gonna have you looking at stuff like sacrifice, dying. Gotta be an easier way. Ain't no fucking easier way. Hell, the easiest way is fucking death. Most of the motherfuckers that actually fucking took their lives in a fucking suicide, they took the easy way out. Literally. So what are you afraid of? Bunch of motherfuckers out here thinking like Mitch. Bunch of motherfuckers out here thinking like Mitch. When I'm out here moving like Ace. Got a bunch of radical motherfuckers out here moving like Rico. Like Calvin. Calvin's got a fucking job. Like all these other motherfucking dead motherfuckers that they show in every fucking movie that you ever fucking seen. Not willing to die for shit in real life. They just want you to be so behind them emotionally that so they can say, I got 1,000 motherfuckers behind me ready to shoot. The fuck are you shooting at? What ammunition are you fucking using? If me and 1,000 of my constituents all had fucking guns, what the fuck we gonna do next? They've advanced in the weaponry. Man, we need more money. Okay, we go get more money. Where we gonna get more money from? We either gonna get the money one of two ways. Either we gonna rob a bunch of places, or we gonna get some motherfuckers to hit our Cash App accounts and our PayPals and send us motherfucking donations. But now we have to give them something that appeases their ego in order for them to let go of that money to us. There's motherfuckers out here still trying to fight the good fight for what? You sound just like the motherfucking white man that you fear that's staying out there in the fucking woods somewhere running fucking military drills waiting for the end of the fucking world or the revolution. Two sides, same coin. You're doing the same shit that they fucking do because you've been trained to think as them. When in reality, them motherfuckers don't even bother me. They don't even bother me. Whether they feel threatened or not doesn't fucking matter to me. They're not willing to test that theory. But you have to live in your truth of knowing and stop fucking believing and stop fucking thinking and moving to the level of knowing yourself and knowing your energy and knowing who you knowing what the fuck you are. When you move as you knowing what the fuck you are, nothing else matters outside of you. Nothing else can pertain to attack you or do anything to you as long as you're at a level that is above it. It's a blow me now. I wish a motherfucker would try to put a hex on me, voodoo, all that bullshit. I did that studying. I can do that. The level that I'm at, I can invoke and do that shit. It takes more discipline to do what you want than to do what you can. A lot of people in that do what they can, that root chakra bullshit, they're in that do what they can, and then they disguise it under the arrogance of saying they're doing what the fuck they want. But you can tell by the motherfuckers and how they move when they're doing what they want and they're doing what they can. Because a person that does what they can, they got a pause to them. There's a tremble in their voice. There's a dimness to their eyes. There's a deafness to what they hear. There's a weakness in their step. I learned all of that in boxing. I put a post up earlier today with the Michael Jaleel White, and he was talking about what he had said. He was talking about what you learn from. I don't care if I get my ass kicked, as long as I learn something new, it's worth the fucking fight. It's worth the ass whooping. And he was talking about Kimbo Slice. There's a lot of motherfuckers out here basically like fucking Kimbo Slice, even in the conscious community. They waiting for a motherfucker to make a move so they can judge their move. The art of war is never show your hand first. Allow your opponent to show their hand. But you taking that shit literally, thinking they're really gonna show you their fucking hands. Here's the thought. If I show you that I got missiles, guns, fucking shit that can see through fucking walls, I show you my arsenal, you can defend against the arsenal. Sure, you can go get the vest, you can go get all the tactical gear that you want. But I didn't show you my plans. I didn't show you the maps and all the strategy that I put together in using this weapon. I just showed you the armor. So what are you defending against? You fighting a war physically when it's psychological, when it's in your fucking mind. They trying to get to the promised land, not knowing that the promised land is within you. The promised land is within me. No enemy outside of you can affect you if there's no enemy within. So what are you fucking scared to die for? How many times have you fucking died? I can count. I've died 6 times. Clear cut deaths. I committed to death 6 times to get to the level that I'm at. Every time I performed my eulogy, gave my praise to what I learned at that level before, and I laid death to it, burned that shit away, and went to the next fucking level. And I rose into a higher energy, rose into a higher gate, went to that next portal, went to that next level for myself. Close that fucking book. Most motherfuckers don't want to close the fucking book because, like, if I have this last page to read, I still have something over the motherfuckers that haven't read the book yet. That's your ego patting yourself. We downloaded the Book of Life. One of the books we're going to be referencing from tonight is The Book of Life by Dr. Alicia Sivartha. Dr. Alicia, Alesha, last name Sivartha. That's going to be one of the books we're going to reference a lot of some of this stuff from. And when I explain to people, whenever I come into information, when you start getting to high level, you start coming into information. The information that you get for self-validation for yourself, you'll be led to, when you're in sync, you'll be led to that information in the most gratifyingest of ways based on your level of intelligence. For example, for today, I woke up and last night I watched the American Gods lecture with Brother Panic on his channel. It's an oldie but goodie. And he said some things that resonated with me. And then I woke up this morning, this great divine day. Woke up this morning, then I went and looked at something made me want to get on YouTube. I was preparing the link for the post. And I looked and I saw, what the fuck did I see? Oh yeah, I saw the interview on Breakfast Club with Dr. Umar Johnson. And everything he said was impactful and it made a lot of sense. It was like, one thing that stuck out to me was like, we're judging billionaires to the same lines as thousandaires. When you're at a different level, you move different. So if I'm at the billionaire status, I move different than the guy that's making thousands, because I have more room to move. I don't have more room to move. I have to discipline my movements in doing what I want, submitting to those ideal attributes of what I can do, or what they want, what they say I can do, to be able to do what I want to do. That's similar to talking about we look at it from that history standpoint and of the observe. They had to bring in a guy from Philadelphia, forgot to do his name, to tell Martin Luther King not that he had to approach it in a non-violent way, because he was in private. He was against he was like, we gotta move to protect ourselves. No, we gotta do it the non-violent way. No matter what the narrative was written onto that thought process, that energy was still put out there, hidden behind those closed doors. That's how we gotta start moving. That grows into us. We're so used to being on the front lines and being fighters, because our ancestors were doing all that on the front lines, because they were building. They built the very wall that we can now fight behind, that we can now build behind. They're looking like any knowledge described on any fucking wall, looking at the emerald tablets, looking at all this knowledge. All that knowledge was put there for you to be able to look at, to let it resonate with inside of you, because it was showing you yourself. The reason that outside on this realm, these archons, these energies, these entities that are feeding off of you every single day, have put the images in front of you to keep you in that spookism, is so that your mind doesn't unlock what needs to be fucking unlocked. Man with one eye is king. They show that in the book of Eli, when Denzel Washington, this nigga was blind. This nigga had a sacred book. This nigga had the Bible. The only motherfucker that could read the book was this motherfucker, because it was in Braille. He was the only blind motherfucker that could actually read the fucking book. He read the book so fucking long that at the end of the fucking movie, he scribed and read off the entire fucking book so it can be used again. The esoteric meaning behind that, the knowledge that you need to get to, these books are going to implement that. These books are going to evoke and awaken you, that voice inside of you, awaken your soul, so you can start invoking that energy and pulling that shit down. It gets hot. This book is based off, I forgot what book is written. We'll have a lot of references and points on the books. The sacred secretion of the cerebrospinal fluid is the Christ within. The anointing is the secretion, a substance, what's once named chrism, the origin for the word Christ. Chrism, the origin of the word Christ being anointed or anointed. The Christ within all of us. This book run by a white guy. The Christ which is born, the Christ within all of us, born in the sacral plexus, the sacred place, where the fused vertebrae of the spine meet. The Christ seed is born here and begins his journey up the 33 vertebrae to be crucified or amplified in power. When it meets the pituitary and the pineal, after spending 3 days in the hypothalamus, the tomb, it creates a circuit causing the secretion of DMT, the honey, and the secretion of serotonin, which is the milk. When the seed and the oil is preserved and returned You in short reach the promised land and become the perfect intender for prayer. You walk through the gates of nirvana. You looking at something like this. This is when you go study the Buddhist information, and they talked about the nirvana. Another thing I wanted to get out there while we're sitting at this moment. The ways to train your subconscious mind. Precision affirmations. This is talking about the attention, your intentions, your attention, and what powers them. Precision affirmations. When you make a clear, definitive statement about yourself as you are, as if it's already true, your subconscious mind takes over and will act in accordance to that belief. So if I tell you you're a real nigga and you say, yeah, I'm a real nigga, and you keep the mantra, you're trying to live up to being a real nigga, your subconscious takes in the thought process, okay, everything that I see, everything that I will take in be based on being a real nigga. Your ego is going to kick in and defend against everything that is against being a real nigga and only take in the shit to make you a real fucking nigga. So if I say I'm a god and I program that into my subconscious after I broke away the politics of my subconscious taking in that dumb bullshit, and I say I'm a god, I say I'm an occultist, I say that I am the devil, I say that I'm Satan, I say that I'm Lucifer, I say I'm the light bearer, and I keep bringing that information into my mind, my subconscious acts accordingly. So I set the intention in that fertile place. Then I visualize. Visualization is a powerful tool to retain your subconscious mind because it allows you to feel and experience a situation which hasn't happened yet as if it was real. So if every day I show you in the media, somebody got shot. Every day I show you in the media, another fucking actor, another fucking artist, another fucking musician, another motherfucking somebody got to a fucking level of success and then they got shut the fuck down. Guess what? That visualization is now in your head. Well, I know if I go, well, what else can I fucking do? I can't go any further in my fucking job because if I get to a certain level, I gotta do a certain thing. Oh, this is what I had to do to get there, so that's what I have to do. Or this is the initiation into that process in order to say that you're this. So you're giving all these things that are trained into your mind to visualize that you can't do anything better than that. The first visualization that they gave you when they gave you the Christ figure, and they said, you, even though the description says you, what you are, the image that we give you is against, it contradicts that. So your mind is going to kick out everything that it says that is naturally attuned to you because you've been trained to take in something else. So that's how you get stuck. One second. So basically your mindset in that visualization process for you and becoming the higher version of yourself you coming into your higher self, everything that was put on top of that was used to reinforce that thought. As I sit here and play around on my screen. Go away. I don't want want that, close that. All right, cool, we got that. Cool. But yes, your mindset in what you are visualizing is based on what creates your environment. Remember, mentalism is the first rule, 7 hermetic laws. The 7 hermetic laws of the universe. What else do I want to put on? Oh, yeah. And that goes into the meditation. Everything that you do basically into the thought process of doing your affirmations, reprogramming your subconscious, going to the visualizations, more into your subconscious, bringing what you see, the light that you bear, your light, you're the light bearer. Break into your meditation. Basically, after doing meditation for so long, your body, your mind automatically goes into a natural state of meditation. 97% of my day is spent in meditation. Even right now, at this fucking moment, I'm in meditation because I set my space in my mind to be in a constant state of pulling in information. I set my mind in my state to constantly be pulling in information. I'm constantly retracting all of my power. So I'm constantly charging myself. The only time that it peaks up is during these rituals, full moons, these certain days. You can go look at the encyclopedia of gods and goddesses and other deities. You're looking at this over and over again. Everything becomes your sign. Everything becomes something that you need to tap into to go into your next level. Everything becomes a sign. Everything becomes something for you to learn from. Now you can meditate at any given fucking time. Once you get into that mindset of getting in tune with working on those traumas, and you shut those triggers off in your DNA, as you go higher, the traumas are going to become the traumas that are on that first level ain't shit. The shit that happened to you in your waking life at this fucking moment have nothing on the shit that happened in your lives before this. Have nothing on the shit that happened to your ancestors. Have nothing compared to the other shit that you are going to go through. There's levels to this shit. You just don't wake up. You go put on a fucking Ankh. You go put on a fucking Baphomet. You go put on some fucking crystals and some fucking stones. And you say, yes, I'm fucking awoke. I ain't got to do no more fucking work. The same amount of length of moments and timeline that you went down to get to that fucking level is going to be that same amount of length and timeline to get to the next fucking level. It's called putting in that fucking work. Motherfuckers stop putting in fucking work, and then they get fucking beside themselves. And we wanted to talk about that. Got that out there for y'all. All right, cool. If you have not downloaded Scribe, it is the best subscription for $8.99 that you will ever do in your life. Scribe is an app that has every PDF, almost every PDF. A lot of the books that are out of print or hard to find, you can tap it in on there, and I guarantee that you'll find it. I just finished reading the book Psychastria. I just finished writing, trying to get an endorsement there. I just read the book Psychastria. So now every time I see something happening, I now understand that it's from the aspect of submitting to that's where I got the reference points about submitting to the ideal, submitting to the attributes of the ideal that's presented in front of you in order for you to do the work that you need to do to gain knowledge of what it is. And then I broke that down talking about motherfuckers are mad and upset about racism. You have to submit to the ideal of what racism is in order to understand and walk through racism. You have to understand, submit to the ideal and the attributes of what white supremacy is in order to walk through to understand white supremacy and counteract it, to be able to reverse that energy back to you. Getting upset at Make America Great Again, you need to understand not for what America was great for them, but when America was great for you in that aspect of that understanding, in order to make it great for you, in order to understand, to burn everything down so you can go to the next level. You have to go through it to understand it, to move yourself to the next level, to say, that shit's now beneath me. That shit's behind me. Man, everything that you look, if you turn around, it turns into a pillar of fucking salt. Who the fuck turned around to see if it was a fucking pillar of salt? This book was a major book that I looked at earlier. It's called God Man, The Word Made Flesh by Dr. George W. Carey and Inzi Eudora Perry. George, everybody knows how to spell George, W. Carey, Carey, and Inez Eudora Eudora Perry. This book basically breaks down. I'm gonna read through the table of contents. The redemption is the ultimate goal of humanity. The kingdom at hand. Books rejected by the council and the seer. That's very interesting. Names: the marvelous story of Joseph and Mary. Man-made, upright. The eternity of perfection. Sarah and Abraham. The word of the God revealed. The explanation of the turn of water into wine. John the Baptist, psychologically explained. The plagues of Egypt in the human body. What was the word of God that came to the prophets, the great pyramids, and so on and so forth. Lake of Fire and Brimstone. This book basically takes the exoteric outside of it and turns it into the esoteric of understanding it. The revolutionary planet Uranus entered the zodiac sign Pisces, the fishes, in January 1920. Uranus came from the Greek word meaning heaven. This goes into the aspects of understanding that it's an allegory. In this book, it says it as an allegory. Most of these texts that are written by the white man or nobody want to fucking read break down that shit. They know your shit. They know exactly, since they know your shit, they know exactly what to do to keep you distracted from understanding your shit. Ashe. So now you got a bunch of motherfuckers that'll go hotep, it's actually no tep, fuck that shit. And say all these fucking things to make them feel like they're saying something, but they're not actually saying shit. But the first page on this is written in 1920. So the grammar is based on 1920. The hour has struck that the door opened for a new dispensation for man, and the standing prophecy proclaimed, trumpet tongued down through the ages, is the now being fulfilled. The order is dying. The old order is dying amidst its worshippers. We are the new order. All this shit's on a cycle, like a clock. going through the seasons. Shit's gonna rise, shit will fall. Shit will rise, shit will fall. Throughout history, you've seen the rise of a play, you've seen the rise of a empire, you've seen the fall of an empire, the rise of an empire, the fall of an empire, the rise of an empire, the fall of an empire. Every time an empire rose and then it fell, when a new empire was brought up, they took what they could use from that old empire, that old archetype, and they used it to create their foundation. Everything that couldn't be used, they demonized it. Everything that they couldn't crack, they couldn't get into, they demonized it. There's countless documentaries, countless books on alchemy, how alchemists were revered because they were turning lead into gold. That was an allegory, that was a mythos based on you are the lead being turned into gold as you awaken. That's your anointing, that's that chrism oil we're going to get into. God loosened his God's, this is spelled G.O.D. apostrophe S. God's loosened thunders shake the world. Across a lucid sky, the warbirds scream. Earth's millions die. Fear and woe unutterable. The fires of purification lightened into a cosmic melting pot that has been cast hate, race, prejudice, selfishness, and the devils of greed. The towers of superstition and tyranny are falling. The thrones, the specters, the kings of lies scattered across along the highway of nations. Pride has fallen from its insecure pinnacle of shame. The rich terror-stricken, the silver has been cast into the street, the gold has been removed from them. The merchants of the earth weep and mourn, for no man buyeth their merchandise. The churches are in panic. The liquor power rages. The gambler terror-stricken. The grafting politician seeks hiding in a place to find and finds none. The grafting I already said that part. The briber flees with no man to pursue it. The priest and the preacher pray, but no help comes, for they too now must be judged. The harlot alone seems unafraid because she is not a hypocrite, and has heard the words, the harlots enter the kingdom. The harlots will enter the kingdom before you. Mankind has gone to the limit of animalism. The soul walks forth naked and ashamed in its high noon of the judgment day. Written in 1916. This next chapter breaks down Taoism, Brahmanism, Buddhism, Hebrewism, Egyptian, Orphic, and Christian. Listen to this. Taoism, the redemption, the ultimate goal of humanity. Taoism, man consisting of the trinity of spirit, mind, and body, cometh forth in the eternal after putting desire, re-enters the glory of Tao. Basically, what this is saying, in a nutshell, before I go deeper into it, is the ultimate goal of you tapping into your higher self and coming into the higher energy is releasing from the humanity and the ego. Brahmanism, that's that sugar the bull. Man's inner self is one with itself of the universe. And that to know that the universe and that, roll back, I really never can read. Man's inner self is one with the self of the universe. And to that universe and to that unity, it must return to the fullness of time. Buddhism, man fundamentally is divine. It's held in in 3 worlds by desire. Purification from desire leads to the man in nirvana. Hebrewism, man came into being emanation from a will of the king. therefore is divine. Egyptian teaches the divinity of man, Osiris as his source. Rastafarianism. That's actually the original word for it. Man speak a spark of the universal flame to be ultimately united with the source. Orphic, man has in him potential, the sum of the substance of the universe. Christian, man made an image of God, body, soul, spirit in the body, soul, and spirit, the Trinity. That is the original. This is the original coordinates of understanding what you are. This is the original concordance written in 1916 of what the coordinates of what you actually are. In redeeming what they created on the outside, that exoteric, when they created the back out, go back. I don't want to look at it anymore. Thank you. When they took their aspect of, when they created something as simple as they gave us and it's in here, you gotta look for it. I download so much fucking shit. I read so much fucking shit, it's fucking ridiculous. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. That's what I want. Jordan. No, that's not that. That's when they put out, when they did the whole, let's get the children of Israel back to their land in Palestine. The mindset, what they wanted to show you was that it already had happened. So that you can be distracted. That was the first distraction that they gave us. That aspect of the children of Israel, or Israel, or Isis, Ra, El being gods. That's what we are to that aspect. They put out that aspect of the children of Israel have been saved and they're in their land, and it's been calamity over there ever since because they're not somewhere they're supposed to fucking be. So in order for them to keep them over there, they got to keep putting in that same energy that got them over there. The same lies and the same deceit and all that same energy, the same energy that goes into a space in order to create something, that same energy must be maintained at that level to keep that shit going. So if you have no understanding of yourself, you won't understand something as simple as going into what the temple of God really is your body. You're the temple. You're the God. You're the temple. So, and all this shit, all this knowledge that people don't want to go further into is because they go against that fact of, man, fuck the Bible and fuck Christianity. Now understanding that that entire fucking book was written on an esoteric platform that you're afraid that you, since you renounce it and you saying, damn that shit, you're further giving energy to the distraction of understanding who the fuck you actually fucking are. The temple, in the temple of God, is your body, not a building, of course. If you believe we evolved from biological sludge 3 billion years ago, if you believe we evolved from a biological sludge 3 billion years ago, that doesn't make any sense. Now, we're never taught this information because the powers that be don't want you to understand what you are. That's like you confuse, distract, and deceive, everything I just said, to give you give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. For the past 500 years, it was the church's role to mislead the masses. Because at a point in time, in order to take you away, they physically took you away. Everything starts in that spiritual, encompassing of the spiritual realm. So what happened in the spirit realm is separating. They had to keep it down on this level because everything's separated. So that androgynous from the God, to say you were God, once you proclaim that, that means you have an understanding of your masculine energy and your feminine energy. That's within all of us, that masculine and feminine energy. In order to tap into that spirit realm, the spirit realm, Bobby Hemmett breaks that down. The spirit realm is the feminine energy. You got to feel it. You got to have that knowledge. You have to have that wisdom. You have to cultivate that. You have to cultivate that knowledge, which becomes the wisdom, in order to be able to feel that presence, to be able to feel. That's why they did so much time in downplaying the feminine essence in every way, in that esoteric mindset of cursing them, the apple, the tree of knowledge. But when you go back, you understand that in order for a king to even sit on that, for the pharaoh, the king to sit on that fucking throne, he had to go by way of being born by royalty, by taking that knowledge of that apple, that divine knowledge, that spiritual energy, that feminine presence. He had to make knowledge, and he had to acknowledge that that shit was there. He had to acknowledge that fucking feminine presence in order to fucking walk in that realm. So they separated. For us, being spiritual people, the science, which was the feminine, that spiritual, the spiritual was the feminine, the knowledge was everything that they took in an esoteric standpoint. But since they don't have what you have, they don't have the soul, they don't have the substance, they don't have that key element to create the alchemy, to create the bond, to take it to the next level. All they can use is that knowledge in order to control. Esoteric is the act of making it to control. That's what the esoteric fashion is. It's meant to control. So then I can give you the story of Santa Claus, a man coming down the chimney, and go on so on and so forth. Everywhere, every time you see seed in the Bible, every time you see seed in these in all these texts, you see seed, you see, they're all synonyms for the words, same, all in the same word. Another good book to get when you're going into your travels into this knowledge and understanding the chrism is a very good book with God, Man, the Girl, World Made Flesh. And I have the notes here. The aspect on this level, and I said this last week, on this level, on this vibration, Jesus must exist. Allah must exist. Moses must exist. Because at this level, on that intellectual level, that's for them, that's the only way that they can understand it. That's the only way that you can start tapping into actually understanding it. That intellectual level is the floor to your spiritual intelligence. So the claustrum oil theory that proves that Jesus Christ did not exist, an idea that I disagree with, rather I believe further proves your actual plan for your rising. In understanding all the allegories, you must take you got to look at those layers to take it to that deeper truth. You have to understand these parallels are one and the same based on the everything is everything based on for you. Everything that goes into God, heaven, and hell. Early Christians had their thought processes and the essences. You're the God in all its glory. A fact that is proven over and over and over again. You just got to look into yourself. One of the allegories that I looked into, that I actually started studying more into, was Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, as well as Paul's epistles and the Acts of the Apostles. They teach anything. They teach the mastery of transmutation in the body by anyone who obeys the psychological guidebook, the whole damn Holy Bible, by letting the reader observe that each of the 66 books, as well as the almost countless number of ancient books in all races and languages, and teaches the same mathematical and psychological facts. That was written by that was in the book God Man. You'll see and you'll understand the Holy Bible is the book of mortal instruction. These books were written for them to, in an esoteric standpoint, for them to understand you. Their intellectual understanding of you is the very reason that they can still control you and keep you under their thumb and keep you distracted. Every time you get close to it, thus the solstice during this time of year, they'll go heavy, and they used to go under distraction of what Christmas actually meant. This time 3 years ago, actually further back than that, Christmas used to mean so much. Christmas means so much to your mom. Christmas means so much to your mom and your aunts and your family. That is fucking ridiculous. It means so much to them because they're holding on to the tradition of what it means. At the next level you'll get to is you'll hear people say, I don't celebrate Christmas. I only celebrate it for the kids. What they're telling themselves is, I don't want my children, I don't think that my children are ready for the level of disheartening that I'm not ready for. I'm still not ready. This is how you understand something. Once you're able to explain it and teach it and take it further and share that information, that's when you have made it to the next level. It's only once you're able to share and dispense that information based on your level of knowing and interpretation of it that you can go to the next level. Until you're able to do that, letting go of that humanity and ego aspect, you can't go to the next level. You'll still be locked down in that, you'll still be locked in those rings of that circus. So for a person to sit here and every year say, I don't celebrate these holidays for what they are, I celebrate it for the unity of my family. That's nice, that's fine, that's great, that's fine, that's dandy. But outside of that, you're just appeasing your ego because you feel that any question that can be asked, you're now going to buffer it based on what? You're going to buffer it based on the factoid of, oh, okay, cool. I ain't got to worry about that part right there because my kids aren't ready for that yet. What you're saying is you're not ready for it yet. You'll find the same motherfucking person you can look at these people's pages. Everything's in plain sight right there in front of you. You just got to be able to read through and research. The same research that I put in to bringing this information and validating my information that's in my mind that taking me to my next levels, I do that same thing in everything that I do. Because the discipline in doing what you want is always going to be greater and more standard to the fact than doing what you can. When you're at that level on the underside of the coin, one side of the coin doing what you can, all you're doing is invoking the value on that side of the coin. So we look at it as the light. We'll look at it as the light, because from the dark is the true light. That's that occult term. The light shines on this side of the coin. So everything that's on this side of the coin, since it has that light on it, I'm going to hide in this light. So I'm going to hide in the mythos of my kids still believe Santa Claus is real. So my humanity is still intact and my ego is still intact because my kids still believe in this. So now I have something to hold on to here. I don't want to let go of this. So I need to find something to distract me from the reality of what I need to face. So then that boils down to everything else in your life. Because if you're still on that level of believing Santa Claus is real for the kids and the Pilgrims help the Indians for the kids, then you're going to believe that Trump did this and is doing this debacle, but he's playing out a fucking script. You won't look at he's playing out a fucking script, and you'll be the same person that even though you'll say Jesus isn't real, you're going to replace Jesus with Shango. You're going to replace Jesus with Obatala. You're going to replace Jesus and Mary with Set. You're going to replace Satan with Set. You're going to replace Jesus with Haru. You're going to replace Osiris with God. You're going to replace God with Osiris. You're just going to replace a bunch of shit. So then you're saying, oh, Santa Claus isn't real. All right, cool. They know Santa Claus is real. Let's give them Kwanzaa. Emoji. Oh, shit. Now they know Kwanzaa is a butt crock of bullshit. Now they know Kwanzaa, and then they start looking at the candles and lighting the candles, and then they're going to start paying attention to that shit resembling Hanukkah. I haven't even heard anybody talk about fucking Hanukkah in forever. Ever since I hear Kwanzaa every year, but I don't hear nothing about Hanukkah every year. Because that shit played its role, and now that shit dissipated from the level that you're at. That land of milk and honey, that's that Joseph and Mary aspect, that Joseph and Mary raised Jesus of those 33 vertebrae, which is your spinal cord, that spinal cord, that Jacob's ladder, which when they took the River Jordan, and that's the physical representation of when you look at the Nile River, it goes up and down both ways. The Nile River is nothing more than saying your spine, and it's going up and down that fucking spine. That's the same thing as when you're looking at, they said the devil was on the earth in the book of Job, which I thought was Job for a long time. I was like 28 years young when I found out Job, it was Job and not Job, learning pronunciations. Devil was walking the earth to and fro. He's walking up that same fucking 33 vertebrae on that same fucking spine, going up to the line of milky and honey. It's all the same. Yeah, this shit blows your fucking mind. Going up that same fucking vertebrae, going to that land of milk and honey of Jesus and of Joseph and Mary, which is the serotonin and the Christian, the serotonin and the dopamine, the two fluids coming together, making the chrism fluid or the colostrum fluid that flows down to your spine, that goes down into that anointed place that anoints you as you take your rise. That's that fluid that raises that kundalini energy within you, that raises that energy up to anoint the Christ within you. And they tell you this story every fucking year about the Christ rising. That fluid rises up every fucking year in your fucking head, in your fucking cerebral cortex, all back in the inner workings of your fucking mind, all back here, back of your head, and lays the rest for the 3 days. Because that's these 3 processes that it got to go to. And then you look at the 12 disciples, which are the 12 cardinal nerves around the pineal and pituitary gland. And then when they are given the knowledge of God, when they're given the word, when they're given the teachings of Jesus, which are all the actions of your body, the 12 cardinal nerves around your pineal and your pituitary gland control every action and every elixir in your body. Your body, every organ in your body creates a elixir that has a different function inside of your body that further unlocks and revs up that Kundalini energy to take you to your next level. So if I give you an image outside of you and give you traumas on top of that image that you keep looking for, a savior, you never activate the savior. You never activate your energy. You never activate your power. And then you continue getting stuck. And then you get stuck in bullshit ass fucking arguments. Talking about, man, I'm a Kemite. You having the same argument on the same level as a Hebrew Israelite. You're having the same argument on a different level of a Moor. You're having the same argument on as a motherfucker that says they're an atheist. You're having the same emotional conflict with an emotionalism of a Christian or a fucking religious person. All the same energy on the same level. In order for this level to exist, it has to have that controversy. Instead of you trying to pick a side, study both sides so you can put the rest on both of them shits. We get different understandings of our knowledge in order to take it forward. That's the whole key concept of your awakening. You're going to awaken many fucking times because you went through many different initiations. The only difference is you ain't got to go through the initiation process anymore. You ain't got to go through the initiation processes that our ancestors went through to get to that level because they already did the work. Your memory is the memories of your ancestors that's the initiations that are within your DNA. So you don't have to go through the same processes. So the attitude to think that we need an economic plan, that we need a stimulus package, that we need our own land, that we need all this other shit, that's all below you at this point. That's already been done. Since it's already been done, it can be repeated. This level, this realm that you're in shows you that shit can be repeated. Disney bought out fucking Star Wars, is now redoing all the fucking Star Wars movies. You look at every reality TV show that ain't really fucking reality, is based off a fucking time loop, and it's repeating the same fucking shit over and over and over again. That's what this level is. That's what this level does. There's nothing new on this level. One second, I gotta go pee. going into these deeper aspects of life. Sorry. As long as I had to take another pee. That's as long as I ever do that. But taking that aspect of your life into yourself, it doesn't matter what is going on outside of you once you understand its purpose. It doesn't matter. We're gonna get deeper into this book. There's an automatic procedure. I wrote down a lot of notes. There's an automatic procedure within the human body which, if not interfered with, will do away with the sickness, trouble, sorrow, and death in the Bible. That's page 21 in God, Man, Made Flesh. Furthermore, the Bible gives us countless related similes to the human body, like the word or seed. The Bible tells us that man does not live by bread alone, but in every word or seed that proceeded out the mouth of God, proving that in order to truly live, we must save the precious substance. In the anatomy, the passageway underneath the structures which leads down to the front of the thalamus is the mouth of God. For it is the cerebellum. This is when you get into the occult study, you start talking about the underworld. When Osiris is talking about Osiris in the underworld, this is the underworld. This is where the God dwells. This is the underworld. That's it's in you. In the anatomy passageway underneath the structures that lead down to the thalamus is the mouth of God. For it is the form of the cerebellum. The cerebrum, the upper brain, the most wonderful gift to the human body comes. This represents the unseen mouth, visible mouth of the solar plexus. Page 42. Therefore, the brain is the father, God, metaphorically speaking. It is from the substance of the entire body originally existent. We can turn to the pages of Gray's Anatomy or any good medical dictionary and examine carefully the illustration of a 26-day-old fetus. We see that the almost entire body consists of the brain substance. In fact, it looks like an elongated brain. The upper brain, the father-mother substance, furnishes the material for which the body is made. Verily is the alpha, the beginning, degenerates, and the people living in excess have become greatly deficient of its precious material. And the whole appearance of the body testifies to the degradation of the temple. This is what they're talking about, don't degrade the temple. But we're telling you was like you are growing, the temple's going to become, your temple becomes degraded as you grow into it. This further goes into the aspect of talking about this is a prison planet, which is written in countless books, talking about the prison planet and your body is a cell. This goes into the aspect of understanding that every day that your soul is trying to escape, once your soul awakens, once your soul has become awakened, it's constantly trying to escape. It's constantly trying to show itself. So that goes into the physical. I'm going to do a couple physical representations. When I was in the mindset of acting as a good old Christian boy or a good old Catholic kid, because I went through Catholicism. I went through the Catholicism. I have not been in that shit. So I went through the catechisms. I went through the schooling. I went through all of that process. I Was always told, keep my hair cut. Once I grew facial hair, keep it all low, keep everything neat, keep everything tidy. Don't desecrate the body. Don't desecrate your body. But the other hand, don't desecrate the temple. The temple was already desecrated when you grew into it. This is hell. This is the hell realm. You are the Lord of hell. And we're doing androgynous terms at this level. You are the Lord of hell. So when you look at Baphomet for Dummies, Brother Panic, he broke that down. You are the light bearer. You are the Lucifer. That's the Lucifer archetype. And this is how they built these archetypes and built these images based on esoterics. They used an esoteric standpoint on an esoteric knowledge. So they put everything outside of you to be bad and not to go reach for it or not to go look for it or not to go search or restudy for it. And then that's why they put in memorization. They run in that memory system for you to follow bells and whistles and chimes and all this other shit. And then if you're not studying psychology, I'm a major in psychology. Into that aspect, then you understand the motherfucker that, I forgot his name, ain't coming to me right now, that did the thing with the dog and the bell. That was basically, they used that same information, like, okay, cool. If you could train a dog like that, every experiment they did with animals, dogs, monkeys, and shit, they did to understand you. They used from the intellectual level our divine sciences, our divine math, our divine, everything that we've done originally. They've used it and they perverted it or twisted it. Pervert is not a bad word. There's no bad or good. It's negative and positive. They twisted it and then they gave it their intellectual understanding. What they constantly do is they'll present you with a theory. And to the ones that are beneath you, to the dead and the ones that refuse to wake up, they love where they're at, they'll say that they're smart and they'll give them their attention. On that level, this illusion exists. As you're climbing up your ladder, you're climbing up your 33 vertebrae. This is what I was getting into, talking about the shit your ancestors went through. As you're going up your vertebrae through that DNA and that memory, there's going to be things that are going to upset the shit out of you. That's why slavery has that impact on a lot of people, similar to racism and white supremacy. These things have such a great impact on motherfuckers because it's in their DNA. They haven't learned how to turn off these triggers. There's many methods. The method that worked for me was when I was like, I don't want to eat meat anymore. I went through a process. I never ate swan. I never ate pork. I never ate pig. Never ate it. Never ate a pig. Since I never ate a pig, how I put it in my mind was I thought about the worms. I thought about these motherfuckers carry tapeworms and all that shit. So every time I looked at bacon and I said, that shit smells like pee to me because of all the ammonia in it and all the fucking chemicals in it. So that put my mind into it. So as I got older, my aspect of looking at, they call the cops pigs. I don't fuck with pigs anyway. So the aspect of that synced to me further straying away from pigs because they call cops pigs. I don't fuck with pork. Steak knife with the fork. Take that next aspect when I started studying the Indian part of our culture, our original knowledge, started studying some of that India, and they regard the cow as sacred. And then I understood the Brahma, the bull, the year of the bull, the year of Taurus. Then I started going into astrology, and then that led me to astrology. All of these things connect. As you're going on your path and into your shit, all of this shit's going to connect to you. Certain shit's going to highlight to you and it's going to take you to this level. There's something else going to stick out to you, a word, a sentence, a context, and it's going to take you to your next level. That's how you move through this. The way that you get stuck on it is getting stuck emotionally and trying to be a part of a group. Bobby Hemmings said that shit a lot. You shouldn't want to be a part of anything. Because once you become a part of these groups, all these groups that are so prevalent, the Moorish rites and Masons and all of these groups, all of these fraternal orders that have been created, they're all on a list. That's why they're able to exist. Now, similar to when you look at any war that's actually happened, the people that we usually go to war with, at some point in time in history, they were friends with the very United. They were friends with the United States. Bin Laden, Fidel Castro, Gaddafi, all of these countless other martyrs that have passed, that their energy is free for us to tap into. They gave you an image like Castro was so fucking bad. Not only on one level was, and I looked at that, I studied some more about it, I learned about it today. Not only was they were into the Congo rights, which laid the framework, the spiritual foundational framework, going into the aspect of understanding the reason that they were very RBG, or they were under that Marcus Garvey umbrella, along with Puerto Rico, along with Haiti, along with Puerto Rico and Cuba were under that, then you should start understanding going forward why when the hurricane hit there, it was a reset. And as you're paying attention to the knowledge, you start hearing, once you're in line and in sync, you'll hear the little things that you need to hear to know that you hear things that validate what the fuck you already knew. So you ain't got to wait. You don't have to wait for somebody to say something to make your move. That's the whole key concept. A lot of people get stuck on, like, I got to wait for a certain amount of people to make my next move. In the aspect of that, if I waited for a certain amount of people to make my next move, I would not be giving out YouTube lectures every Friday. If I waited for somebody to make the next move, I would not have produced the God Hour podcast. If I waited for somebody to make my next move, if I waited for a certain amount of people to be around me to make the next move, I wouldn't do half of the things that I do. Because I wouldn't be moving as a god, I'd be moving as a king. That's the aspect of yourself. As the god you create, as the occultist, as the alchemist, as the god you create, as the priest, you study the knowledge. As the king, you survey what your priest, when you go through your priesthood, has surveyed as your counsel. As the king or the queen entity of yourself, that becomes your avatar that surveys what they put out that law, and they survey the land of whatever you've created. And that warrior aspect of you, that knight, that warrior, that shaman, that priest, that duke and duchess energy of you, they're the ones that put in that work outside of that. That is your temple. That is your temple. As you learn yourself, as you learn your demons, And you get into that dark, when you get into that dark aspect of yourself, you become God you're the God. So you create light and you create dark. You're both at the same fucking time. So you understand that at certain points in time in you need to be that demon or that devil to strike fear in their ignorance. Because but you're evokes your knowledge of your demons and their traumas and your triggers and that shit in order for you to move forward and be evil to them. Most people think, and I looked at it in the aspect, motherfuckers look spirituality. Motherfuckers, somebody asked me, was like, yo, you're very beside yourself. You don't really, you say you're saying a lot of shit. You're saying more stuff. You're doing this. You're doing more things. And I always give them the same answer. I do what I want. You do what you can. You moving without fear. The only thing more powerful than a man that doesn't fear death is a man that is in love with death. I'm in love with death. I embrace death because I understand the dynamics of what death is. So when it comes to what entices my soul, what gift I give to my soul, is everything that it needs to be cultivating that seed so that when that next step comes, I'm already ahead of it. That's similar to the thought when someone says, if you got to get ready and never be ready, you got to have a mindset before the plate set. I don't think, if anybody remembers the movie Hook with Peter Pan, where Robin Williams played Peter Pan, and he went back and went against Rufio to go reclaim his childhood innocence, because Rufio became the bad guy, the villain in his life. So Rufio took over. And then they were sitting at that table and they had all the imaginary little wooden bowls around. You gotta imagine it, Peter. You gotta imagine it. And he imagined the food and the food appeared in the bowl. That's the understanding process of your mind. You have all the knowledge within you. You just have to come from a sense of knowing that it's there. And once you have that knowing and understanding that it's there, that's how you release and unlock it. That's your gift. That's your land of milk and honey. 70% of the serotonin created in the human body is created in your stomach. It's created in your gastrointestinal tract, your gut. That's food for thought. So when you take that thought process in your mind and when you're making your moves as you're going, it's based on you, what you know. If you truly know your power and you truly know what's good for you, you wouldn't do half of the things that you would do. Not with an excuse. Your ego gives you excuses. Man, maybe a little that, that's all right. Just a little bit is okay for you. You ain't got to worry about it like that. Just a little bit is all right for you. Don't worry. Don't harp too much on it. Just a little bit. Once you open the door, you must allow once you get to a certain level, the negatives and positives of that level, because remember, the negative propels to the positive. And understanding those negatives of that level propels you to the positive aspects of that level. So whatever level that you go to in that aspect, let's lock my train of thought for a second. Right it back. Here it goes. When you take that aspect of yourself, as you go to that next level, it doesn't matter. Anything around you does not fucking matter because you're tuning into yourself. So you'll never hear me harping to people about being vegan. I love the way being a plant-based entity makes me feel. But in understanding that that's not the end all to be all, whenever I'm doing my spirit work and I get that hankering for a Mr. Good bar or fucking candy I know I'm not supposed to eat, or some wavy barbecue potato chips that I'm not supposed to eat because they're not vegan, I indulge as the God as I'm supposed to, because I'm at that level. That's the level of energy that I'm evoked and I'm in. So I don't have to worry about human ramifications, because I know my body automatically is already, my defenses of my body will already take care of that for me, because I'm that in tune to myself. It's only when you allow other motherfuckers into your head, into your mind, to further program your mind into something that's bad or good. It's negative and positive. I know damn well if I go to the local pizza spot and I get a slice of cheese pizza, I don't get no meat on it, I get a slice of cheese pizza, that I might eat that once a fucking month to appease my cousin Felix that loves fucking cheese pizza. So to appease him once a month, I go get a slice of cheese. We have an understanding, like, yo, I'm gonna get this for you today, because that appeases him, because I do work with him. My father loved Black and Milds and cigars. On my altar, I put a fresh cigar up there every month. When I do the spiritual work, when I start doing my works and studying certain aspects, that he's the key gateway to that aspect of that, I smoke the cigar. I pay homage. I invoke that energy to me, invoking me through the physical representation of what's around me. That's living spiritual. You have Christians and other religious folk, they live emotionally. Okay, they take the esoteric standpoint of this knowledge and this information and they use it into that aspect. So, and then when you replace them one for the other, that's where you have motherfuckers, I brushed Oshun's hair. All right. You brushed Oshun's hair. That's cool. I went into the astral world and I was giving her them back shots from the back. How dare you desecrate her? It was me, Oshun. Kali was eating Oshun ass as Oshun was chopping me off. Because I'm in that realm of that energy and understanding. But you got to do the healing first. Or you're going to get people that, I'm in the Bobby Hemmett in the Panic group, and some dude, I don't know what the fuck this nigga name is, but he's like, now he's on this rave of posting. He posted a picture the other day of these, I guess the chick was getting sodomized at the club, and then somebody got really in their feelings. What does that have to do with anything? Blase, blase, blah. I looked at the picture and I automatically took the interpretation of, oh, to be accepted in that certain realm, you got to accept everything that comes with it, even the hardships of it's going to be feel like getting raped in the ass. And then someone put another picture up today, and it was another demon-like figure sodomizing a chick. She was looking in the mirror. She had her makeup running, but her eyes were closed. I took the interpretation of, to be accepted, You got to close your eyes to the demon that's right, the demon that you don't want to accept, and seeing your true self, seeing you for what you are. That equates to the skill. When you get to a certain level, you start seeing everything as you see everything as you see everything for what it is, and the interpretation based on how the knowledge is invoked into you. Anything outside of that don't fucking matter now. Wanted to get into with that clearly understood, we must now take a look at the word, seed, or God, which is the nucleus of everything, the beginning of man, the beginning of the word. In the beginning, the word, there was God, the word, and the word was God. What that broke down into, in the beginning, it was your mind, and the mind was all. Esoteric is saying, in the beginning, there was the word, and the word was God. Esoteric, in the beginning, was your mind, and the mind is all. The contradictions within that book, with contradictions within especially this text, and then the 16 chapters that are taken out of it, the 16 chapters that were taken out of it hold the hermetic laws within them of the universe. Blow smoke. Now, this is a parable. The seed is the word of God. Luke 8:11. Seed, word, God. All the synonymous in one, the same thing. The wonderful creative substance, the universal essence, for which all things were brought forth, in which all things are. The scriptures or allegories and parables of the Bible are the only writings that give us information. We knew that was not true. The only word that give us the word of God is. Therefore, this book we will quote what was written in regard to. Seed is the cause, the nucleus of everything. Therefore, the seed is the beginning. In the beginning, there was the word. As such, the brain, the father, the creator. As I just said, the mind is all, everything is mental. Once you have that certain level of understanding to your fucking shit and that knowledge, when you read the text to validate what you already know, is just giving you that reinforcement for your reference, everything falls into place. That's the same thing on this physical plane when we coming into this solstice for that what's enticing your soul. Everything is already fell into place for you. Everything's already fell into place. Everything that you needed to see, everything that you needed to observe, everything that you needed to look at has already been presented to you. The missing variable to the formula is, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to apply it to your life now? Or rather, what I say, how will you apply it to your death now? How are you going to apply it to that tombstone, to your eulogy, to take yourself to the next level? Remember, everything is everything. Once you in tune up here, everything trickles down. So I don't have to worry about money. I don't have to worry about cars. I don't have to worry about clothes. I don't have to worry about food. I don't have to worry about those things, because those natural defenses and the natural emotions and the natural synonymous actions, archetypes to those things are already in place. Now that my energy has risen up to that seat, I can create freely to survey and work in those mysterious ways. As such, the brain, father or creator, secretes the fluid or oil, often called the marrow, which flows down the spinal cord. This generative seed is the life essence that is called the Christ. Christ is spelled K-R-S-T. In the Greek name, Christ means oil. When the oil is lifted up like that of Jesus in the it regenerates the body and overcomes the last enemy, death. This oil, Christ or seed, travels through the spinal cord. Seed travels through the spinal cord. The fluid, oil, or marrow, which flows down the spinal cord, comes from the upper brain, from the Creator or the Father, the Most High, as known in psychology as ovium, or a generative seed that is the life essence that creates the human form of corruptible flesh. In Greek, from which the New Testament is translated, this marrow is called the Christ, which is the Greek word for oil. When this oil is refined, transmuted, lifted, and raised up, it becomes so highly vitalized that it regenerates the body and overcomes the last enemy, which is death. How can it be lifted up? By lifting up the Son of Man. The seed, the word, the Savior, the soul, the oil, Christ, in parentheses, in the spinal cord is the salt, which is mentioned in the Bible, and the Savior and the seed, or Jesus. Once again, coming from the book, God, man, the Word made flesh. You see, there is no greater mystery of man. There is no greater mystery than man himself. To know thyself, perhaps, is the hardest thing of mankind. He has faced since the beginning of time. Nevertheless, God has given us a path. You've given yourself a path. I'm going to break that down after I read it. God has given us a path, straight and narrow way, if you will, to redemption, the way to save ourselves from death, but only few are paying attention. We just must be wise enough to see his plan. His river that leads from the Most High, from the Dead Sea, base of our spine, to or Sodom. That goes into the Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah is simply your ass and your ass. Which is basically, when you look at the aspect of born in a manger, around a stable, what's in a stable? Shit. Born in a manger, that's your first steps. Root chakra, then that coincides with root chakra. Then the sacred place, or the sacral place of pleasure, that was the land of Gomorrah. And then you go further up to the solar plexus. This is when you start rising into your Christ energy. This is when Christ did all his miraculous works that they talk about all the time, turning water into wine. This is basically the chemical process inside of your body. There is no mystery, no marvel in all the universe is greater than man himself. Man know thyself confronts us down through the ages, but only few have paid attention to the voice of the Delphic oracle. Only few have looked within. There is a wonderful straight and narrow way, a real straight, not straight, a real straight, S-T-R-A-I-T, not straight. It's two different words, which extends from the upper brain to straight, which is that part of your spine that rises up. Which extends from the upper brain to the cerebrum, to the end of the spinal cord, otherwise named Jordan in the Bible. That's when you look at the River Jordan, when they talk about the River Jordan in the Bible, right here, that little pool or the Nile River, where it flows both ways, that's your spine. Everything they did in the esoteric standpoint, and when they showed it, it was showing you an image of understanding yourself on your esoteric essence of yourself. Named Jordan in the Bible. We find the meaning of this Hebrew. We find the meaning of this in Hebrew is descender or river of God. The straight and narrow way is indeed the river of God, for it leads to the Father, the Most High, the upper brain. As the Jordan empties into the Dead Sea, so the spinal cord terminates the section of anatomy which is designated as in the medical terminology as Sodom. That means it comes up the chimney, it goes down the chimney. It goes up and it goes down back into the gastrointestinal tract to restart itself. Every time you go to a new level of awakening, you will awaken the next anointed one. You keep awakening your God self, and God is the next. They gave you God as the intellectual ceiling level. That's all that's the only place they can go. When you look at all of these books, they only can go to a certain level. They only can go to God. They only can go to the God realm, and they only can peek it. No one can really see God. That's where they got that whole aspect from. You really can't see God. You can't see him. I look at him every day. I look in the mirror. I look at him every day that I see beautiful sister waking up in the morning. I look at it every day that I see beautiful queen embracing her afro, embracing her locks, embracing her natural. I see a goddess in that form. I see that generator, operator, and destroyer. That God, I see that goddess generating through that patchwork of her head, operating those tools to destroy that look, to embrace her newness, her nuance of her natural beautiful of herself. Funny thing happened to me today. I was at the barbershop. I go to the barbershop every Friday, keep myself lined up, looking God fresh. And all three of my barbers, the first barber I started with, when I started going to the barbershop I go to now, to the barber I'm with now, are all in the same place. And I had an epiphany. I was like, yo, and it's coming closer. This is how synergy works. This is how that synchronization works when you start thinking about things and you start moving forward. These are three kings, three masters of their craft. When you're a king, you are a master of your craft. These are three kings. And here I am sitting. I went to each one of these, through each phase of me going through my awakening, literally. When I started growing my hair out, I was going to my man's Twan. When I was starting to braid and starting to lock my hair and explore other things with my head, I was going to my man Kennard. And now that I'm in my full first level, now I'm in that Titan level, moving to my Titan level, I'm sitting with my newest barber, my man Tice. So I literally am sitting amongst the three kings that have gifted me through that have been with me through the gifts of my transition into my Christ form. Shit don't stand out like that if you ain't woke. If you are not truly awakened or you have truly been enlightened. That stuck out to me because I was truly enlightened. I sat there and looked at it for a little bit. I was like, wow, this really fucking happened. When I went to my plug for my candles today, Mary Magdalene, the older one in there was Mary. The younger one was Mary. The older one was Jesus' mother, Mary Magdalene. I got gifted with my newest stone that's been glowing this entire time. And this stone that I have had in my head that has been easing the pain of my headache, of my third eye going. It's a very ancestral stone anyway. So I just keep it up there because it's keeping me balanced at this level. This is a very higher level for me. I'm a little bit high on the level. But I was like, damn. And then I thought about last week when it was raining. It rained hard as fucking hell. And everything came to me in pairs. You start thinking about these things that you're going throughout your life. Everything is synonymous to to you sinking into yourself. And if I was distracted by an Eminem and Nick Cannon beef, or I was distracted by Trump being impeached, if I was distracted by these low-level things, I wouldn't have had a chance to see any of this. And then I couldn't present it as I'm able to explain it. That's that level of understanding as you're coming into your energy going into 2020. New vision. What are you going to do with it? You've been given this new vision over and over and over again, but you haven't been tapping into that. You haven't been getting into the meat of the knowledge in order to have that vision for your next fucking year. New levels for new devils. So it just went through the wait. I really went to the straight and narrow. So when they talk about the straight and narrow path, they're talking about your spine. They're doing it from an esoteric standpoint. So they're to a sense of control. If I tell you got to live the straight and narrow, all this shit that's based on moralism on this level, Bobby Hemmett broke that down when he said, when he put it out there, put that energy out there, all this shit that you've been trained to do on this fucking level ain't got shit to do with your fucking soul. Your soul cannot burn because your soul is made of the same exact properties of what the fuck they say is gonna burn. Your soul is fire. Your soul is an internal fire, a power source. And that also goes into like when the kids act bad, they get a lump of coal. That was going into the aspect, what color is coal? Coal is black. So the kids that act bad, you're turning around. I just had that thought. I've been on this thought process because it connects. The lump of coal, which is similar to the black dot or your pineal gland. So the naughty children, they're still going to that same essence, turning bad into good and get the negative and the positive and the negative. The naughty children get a lump of coal in their stocking, stuffed in their stocking. And in the stocking, you understand that was like at the bottom of the chimney. It means you don't get shit. You got to start all over again. So they're giving you coal means black. That's another way of demonizing black. I don't want no fucking coal. Coal is black. Coal is horrible. An alchemist, an occultist, there's a reason I'm doing these points, knows how to use that coal as the fuel to create exactly what they say he can't have. My occult mind, my occult thought process, my alchemical, my mastering alchemy allows me to create anything that when I do want or need something, I can create that very essence of what I need. So what am I worried about? What do I need? What do I want when I can create anything that I want? I wield that power. They want you not to be able to, they want you not to believe that you wield that power so that you give that power away to them to create something for you. That's their thought process. Intellectual floor. Their ceiling is your floor. Their ceiling is your floor. You've been trained that their ceiling and your ceiling are the same. We're all humans. We're all mankind. Human and mankind are two different things, and Dr. David Blair breaks that down. Human and mankind are two different things. Mankind is a composite of the things that created humans and everything else that was created by humans. They are a everything, therefore that goes into everything that is in your mind mentally creates the reality or the composites or the ingredients or the structures of everything that's outside of you in your life. You're the human. You're the original man. You're the original. So all of this shit is created by you. You are the writer of this script. You chose this life. The life didn't choose you. You chose it. You chose the number of things that you will go through in your day to day, your year to year, your life to life, your day to day to take you to your next level. You chose this. Ride the wave. Gotta ride that shit. Cowabunga, motherfuckers. If anything, that's what Ninja Turtles taught your ass. But okay, let's go down to. We'll find the meaning of this in Hebrew is the descender or the river of God. The straight and narrow indeed is the way, the river of God, for it leads up to the Father of the Most High, upper brain, subconscious. Always about my Father's business. As Jordan empties into the desert, we already read that part. Therefore, now that you know this process is all about, the question remains, how does the seed get to rise again? In short, it is by saving the precious seed and other related activities. And they're going to let us have Dr. George Carey give us an allegory account. The monthly seed, and this goes deeper into semen retention. This goes deeper into semen retention and retaining your seed for the positive intention. And I actually have an intention to spill that I might share. The monthly seed fruit, when saved and not eaten, heals disease and sin. Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, the body, Moses, the firstborn seed, desired to regenerate the blood and led it into the promised land. Thus he lifted up the animal forces, sex, desire. He symboled as the serpent. See the temptation of Adam and Eve. It's in this book. I might read into that. So the son or seed of man be lifted up, etc., etc. That is put upon the cross in order to reach the pineal gland. If I be lifted up, I will draw men unto me. I will draw unto the seed. I will draw all other seed unto me. Studied etymology of men. Also read the tree in the midst of the garden bore fruit every month, and his leaves were healing. The commandment to not eat the fruit of this tree is not heeded by the race and death and result. The serpent said, "Eat thou and shall eat." The serpent said, "Eat thou shall not die." But sex desire was a liar from the beginning. What this breaks down into. This is where they got the esoteric of saying no sex before marriage. Because you got to remember they were separating everything because on this vibration, as everything comes down, it separates. As everything goes up, it comes together. That's why during that heightened sense of passion, if you're actually doing the sexual, your sex is the byproduct of the tantra. So when you're coming together as one, that masculine and that feminine energy comes together by that thrust of energy, which that kundalini energy will say is the penis going into the vagina, coming together, becoming one, and retaining that seed and that energy, it goes up the spine and it releases serotonin and chrism, and it comes back down as the colostrum, coming back down the chimney, and it has healing properties. You have to let go of the mundane desire. They gave us the thought process that all sex is for procreation. That's the esoteric standpoint. On mundane level, all it does is procreate children. There are many forms of children. If you use it on the lower level, yes, you might produce a seed or a child. That is simply an answer. That simply just means that you have been chosen. You have been chosen to bring another ancestor or another god back down to this realm because they didn't do what they were supposed to do the first time, and now they're going to repeat themselves. On that whole aspect of getting into the entire process of birth for us, simply to us, the entire time that the goddess becomes that portal, beside her, the spirit goes beside her in its decision, because it's still going through its decision process. Do I really need to come down here? Is what's going on, the syncope, the synergies, am I supposed to come down here? That's why sometimes when miscarriages happen and these things like stillbirths, that's simply, I don't need to come down there. Either in their mind, it was too much work that they didn't want to put forth at that time, or everything's in order, I don't need to come down there. That takes away from that emotional thought process of it, of understanding to keep your focus so you don't get distracted with the emotional part. Yes, it's okay to have that grievance and the mourning part, but at a point in time, you have to use that energy into something else. That's similar when I always talk about, when I break down to a lot of people, like, do not allow your anger to hinder your growth. So a lot of people, like, we look at white supremacy, we look at racism, we look at all these debaucheries that are happening in their day-to-day world, and we let them stifle our growth from information that is very vital to us growing. Why would you allow, if you are the power source, why would you allow somebody else, why would you be mad at somebody else? Why would you be mad at the plug for not wanting to plug into the power source? When you're the power source, why are you mad at the plug? Why are you mad at the outlet? When you're the power source, why are you mad at the plug and the outlet? Why are you mad at the light bulb that it didn't light up? Let the dead lay with the dead. You're the power source. So as you're going through your day to day and you're planting your seed, if they don't light up, it doesn't resonate, and it makes them light up and start making that energy, cultivating that energy, why are you upset with them? You did what you were supposed to do as the power source. You did what you were supposed to do as God. You gave them the commandments to follow. You can't make them do it. You can't lead a horse to water and make them drink. Someone can come to my house right now and I can have every book open, which I have most of my books digitally. I can tell them to pay homage to, I can go tell them to give an offering to the altar. Don't mean they're going to do it. I can give them a quarter or $1 and say, put that on the altar and say Ashe. Don't tell them nothing else to do. To say, hey, here's $1, say Ashe. Put it on the altar and say Ashe. They'll ask me a bunch of questions. I'll give them the reason. They still won't do it. I did everything I did everything in my power to do what I was supposed to do. It's up to them to take the rest. It's up to them to apply it. You have all the truth and knowledge in you about what you need to know. It's up to you to apply it. Why are you waiting for somebody else to apply it to them? It's not for them, it's for you. The truth is for you. The belief is for them. That's why they believe. That's why there's believers, and then there's knowers. That's why there's thinkers, and then there's doers. That's why there's buyers, and there's the consumers. Then there's creators. That's how this works at this level for you. You're a creator. You tapping into this information. You're the creator. Start acting like the creator. They want to call you the devil. Continue moving in your truth. Because what you say is the truth, to them it's a lie. So you're the devil in their story. Surprise. That's how you deal with it. Without becoming emotionally attached to these thought processes, that allows you to make more moves and processes. You submit to the ideals. You submit to the attributes of the ideals of the ideal. Helps you move freely. You can do what you want as long as you discipline yourself in that manner. That's the meaning behind I do what I want based on my discipline is stronger than doing what I can. At this point, you just want the motherfuckers to think. You have the compassion and understanding that at a certain point, you were at that certain point. If ever you were at that point, you were at a point similar to theirs in parallel and understanding. That's where compassion comes in, and you being compassionate for men. My God is compassionate, but he's also vengeful. And he's also, you're vengeful. Because you're putting in the work that needs to be put in to put an end to that shit. They're not going to do it because they're not willing to take the responsibility and accountability to the source of power that they have. But you are. Only a few are going to make it to this level, and a few are going to make it to the next level. That's similar to that Jay song when he was talking about the higher I go, it feels like dominoes, because the less, it's more blacks that I know. That's the same thought process, and you move differently when you're at a higher level. You're judging, they judge you based on a level of believing, and then in turn, you debate with them on a level of you knowing. The religious and conscious debate will never be won because one side has to be instilled in belief so their cognitive dissonance kicks in, and this side has to rise in knowing. There's going to be a gap. They're steady believing, you're steady growing in knowledge. So there's this gap in between. So you'll argue every single point between these gaps in between, filling this space with nothing. You fill this space with, you're filling the space with negative, they're filling the space with negative. Two negatives propel each other. So you're being pushed further this way, they're being pulled first into the grave. Let the dead lay with the dead. Let them lay 6 feet. It's not for you. Adam Eve, so the south, sun, the sun, the seed, man lifted up, etc., etc. That's literally what it said. That put a cross in order to reach the pineal gland. I be lifted up and I will draw men unto me. I will draw all other seed unto me. Study the etymology of men. We're going to look at men. I'm going to look at the etymology of men in a minute. Also read the tree in the midst of the garden that bore fruit every month, and its leaves were healing, the commandment to them fruit. As can be seen above, text, sex, or the release of the semen results in death. Just like sex is marriage, because every time you bond, that becomes marriage. Just like in the aspect of understanding that every time you die, that's what death is. Every time you tap into that spiritual realm, another part of your human self dies. Because the spiritual realm is the equivalent to a everlasting orgasm. That's why whenever you with your woman and some shit happen after y'all have sex, you start being all sensitive and shit because that manhood or that masculine macho ego that you had died. So for that small moment in time, you're on the same level as your queen. The more you tap into your spirituality, that's why motherfuckers start talking about spirituality. And I listened to it in a B.O.B. song. He was like, the chick said she was spiritual and sexual, like there was a difference. There's no difference. That's when you go into the aspect of understanding. I put out a context about it. I wrote a thing called the Sacred Chapter. And I was talking about, they'll say spiritual woman, like someone said spiritual woman, like it was like in my earlier consciousness days. If someone said spiritual woman are prudish, no. They've been through a level of healing that they will not allow themselves to lower their energy or lower their cells. And I brought this down in the sex lecture. Lower their cells to an energy that's beneath them. Everything is everything. I refuse to allow myself to lower my energy to other beings that are lower than me. I refuse. I refuse to debate Dr. J. Henry Clark's Ashe to their great ancestor said, to my peers, I debate. To all others, I will teach. Whew, that was powerful. That's powerful today as he said it back in 1983, a year before my death day. That aspect, the knowledge, to say that was a God speaking. In all of these levels, our ancestors, at that moment, that was a God doing their work. Stop trying to live in others' works. They captivated and brought that knowledge to this point for you to take it to the next level. Your level, your predisposition in each level, that's based on your path. The path that has been invoked to me is under that path of Thoth, is under that path of Anubis, is under that path of Baron Samni, under that paradigm of energies. I'm thinking about going to New Orleans sometime very soon. Something keeps drawing me to New Orleans. I've met countless people that have history in New Orleans, so that's letting me know that I may need to go touch down in New Orleans for a little bit. All these beads that I keep getting attracted to keep further attracting me to New Orleans, and those very right. So my next path of getting into, I've already got into voodoo a little bit. Now I want to get into voodoo a little bit more. That's how your path illuminates. That's how that sign, because the thought comes, because it comes shown to you. That's your next level. When you remove the desire of your lower self, you're able to move around in these levels. Because if you don't, you'll meet people, and then if you're basing yourself on the human aspect, you'll be like, ooh, I think they like me, and not seeing it as a sign of something that you need to take forward to. That's similar to the same thought process of some people when they get into an aspect of themselves. You start finding yourself in these relationships, and then someone like myself will say something to somebody, but like, I'll say something that is disheartening. So I said something disheartening to somebody a couple weeks ago, and I repeated it after a while, and it sounded good, so I kept repeating it. And the more I repeated it, the more it made sense. That's how that shit works. I was like, whatever happens, we shall accept. I think I said it to my cousin. I said it to my cousin a while back. Whatever happens, we shall accept. We should be accepting of. Not expecting anything, we should be accepting of everything that happens. You come to certain points in your life where, in seasons, certain things play out and certain things come back in. At certain points in your life, certain things that come back in to show you how far you've gone, and other things come back into your life to show you what you didn't learn the first time and why it was there. Constant learning. There's things that I still can't explain at this moment in time, but I'm very, very confident that at a point in time in my future, it's going to come back around for me to be able to explain it. Balance. At first, I was on that fucking wave of not liking the new music, but now, at any given moment, I'll listen to 21 Savage, or I don't really listen to Lil Uzi Vert. It still hasn't resonated with me yet, other than all the purple. So like I shifted more towards Future, and then Future, Hendrix, and then that took me to the purple road. Then I was on that Prince and I understood my mother was in love with fucking Charles Nelson. So then that took me to that, and then I was like, okay, Jimi Hendrix, and then I remember my pops and my father both were big on Jimi Hendrix and that whole purple shit. So that took me into that, and then that gave me into the royalty. And then I remember what my middle name was. I was like, that might style into Dionys, and then that helped me in understanding, studying and reading up on Dionys, and then that took me into the aspects of Pan, and that took me into the aspects of set. And these are the things that link you into you understanding yourself more. What lights up for you for a reason. The only way that you question it is in understanding yourself some more. That's how that works. As we keep reading more into this. As can be seen in above text, sex or release of the semen results in death. Yes, I know this goes against virtually everything our society teaches us today. Nevertheless, if we look back into our history, it actually makes sense. Why does the Catholic Church teach abstinence? Where did the idea that sex is something that should only be used for procreation? I just said that shit. You see how this is my first time reading these texts. So the information that is coinciding as I'm saying it before I'm reading it lets you understand the synergy or the synchronization of your thoughts into when you're moving forward. Everything's going to come into your path of knowledge as you need to. You have to be accepting of it. And you must be accepting, not expecting anything, but accepting of what comes. Because it's coming at that moment in time for that very reason. It's showing you what you're on track of. I'm going to show you an example in a little bit. Why does the Catholic Church teach abstinence? Where did the idea of sex is something only should be used in the procreation come from? In hindsight, it actually makes sense from an ancient esoteric perspective. You see, our body dies from lack of knowledge or sin. They got that whole sin concept. knowledge, sin. Sin is from the Hebrew letter sinchen, meaning fall short of knowledge. Funny thing about this, 3 months ago, I made a post on my Facebook. And I said, once you understand the knowledge, you understand how you can manipulate the spell. And I said, yes, we are full of sin. We do live in sin. We are I'm trying to quote exactly what I said. We are spiritually inclined nobility, or spiritually inclined with knowledge. Knowledge, because you know the end decay is silent, so it goes together synonymously in your mind when you reprogram your subconscious. 97% of my posts, no, I lied. That's going to come true. But I'll say 97% of my posts, see how it came true that fast? 97% of my posts, even the one motherfucking shit that's fucking hilarious, because I just like posting hilarious shit sometimes, it's my fucking page, comes at a higher level once you start looking at it more and more. So sin is from the Hebrew letter, which seemed meant by word. Remember, this was written in 1920. Sinchen, meaning fall short of knowledge. Sin does not mean wrong or crime. So you got to release yourself from that's what I gave the mantra, releasing yourself from bad and good and good and bad and evil and all that shit is negative and positive. So that means sin does not mean wrong or crime, but to commit a crime or do wrong with lack of knowledge. Paul said in the Apostles of Paul, I die daily. I am a chief of sinners. Paul said, I die daily. I am the chief of sinners. In Revelations, it says, and the lamp, therefore, is the Lamb. The word lamb ends with a B, which means a house or body of some kind. And understanding these words, as they wrote these things, they says lamp. The word lamb ends with a B. When you pronounce the word lamb, you think you're going to say B, lamp. The lamp, therefore, is the lamb. The light is the lamb. The light is the house. Your body, we are bodies of light. See all that broke down, all beautifully, eloquently written. Once you understand your shit, once you start understanding your shit, everything eloquently writes itself into your mind. As you unlock yourself, everything eloquently connects together. But yes, it's going to be ugly first, similar to the search process of when you start locking your hair. You go through that very ugly process. And for me, very OCD. Oh my God, that shit fucking hurt. Oh myself, that shit fucking hurt because I couldn't wash my hair for 3 months. I wore a hat the entire time. Got pictures. Therefore, the seed semen must be maintained in the body and used for even greater purposes, physical immortality. That does not mean a man cannot have sexual intercourse. It means he should release his seeds. This means he should only release his seed unless the intent is to bring life into this word. Other words, sex has become an unworthy act. Giving pleasure to one's companion wife is a loving act, but ejaculation becomes selfish if used for anything other than bringing another life into this world. Childbearing also does not waste upon the ground masturbation, but for the purpose of self-gratification, but to the release of the seed into the same selfish act. In fact, the immortal man wants his seed to build up in order to raise it up into the spinal cord, into the brain, which will result into not only a physical but a spiritual powers as well. Yet there is more to this story than just physical gratification. There's also the matter of action of our behaviors. Envy, hatred, ambition, I see why they shorten that word to do not covet thy neighbor's goods. Will destroy the capsule that contains the seed, thus corrupt the blood and surely in the sexual contact. Alcohol in all deceptive forms. Remember, this was written in 1920, so this is during that Prohibition era. Alcohol in the deceptive forms, which is the arch foe of the life seed, seeks by every means known to the enemy of man to destroy. No drunken shall inherit the kingdom of heaven, because alcohol destroys the redeeming substance that enables the man to undergo or think in his heart through the spirit. Alcohol cuts the capsule. You ain't shit. And you ain't shit. And come back. It's gonna come back. If it doesn't, we'll just restart the music. That's not. Hold the essence of every month. Bethlehem alcohol, Easter fruit, tree, blood meat. Okay, cool. Basically, what it was breaking down into that little aspect of the part is breaking down into the whoa. My phone is not doing. I don't want that to do that. Go away. I don't want that. I shouldn't hit that little microphone. About what I was saying, into the aspect of to yourself in the understanding. We understand the porn libations. We understand that pouring libations was to invoke that energy and you pouring into the plant, similar to pouring water. The act of sex in the mundane area, that's why they gave you porn. Because they wanted to stifle and then dive into your mind an image of self-gratification, of separating you away from your seed or from your divine essence. They got to build a controversy because you were taught that in religion you were going to your spiritual side. You were in spiritual, when indeed that actually just means you were just more emotional. You were separated from your spiritual tether because for you do not need a morality system to tell you what to do, because you're the one with the soul. The soul is eternal, therefore the soul is fire, therefore it cannot burn. Therefore, the things that is on this level for them, everything impure burns away. In the Gospels of Thomas, that's in the Gnostic text, in the book of Thomas, there's a line where Jesus said, all this goes away too. Putting that in that esoteric book, similar to the book of Enoch when they took out parts of that, putting that in that book would take away the power of the esoteric reach of you needing something outside of you to save you. That's why they gave you Santa Claus. They gave you every story from an esoteric standpoint for something for you to believe in. So you didn't have to think, you didn't have to worry, and you'd be blissfully ignorant. Because if I give a man bread and games, they'll not worry about anything else. If I give you everything that you need, you don't think about anything else. If I give you distractions and symbols of things that what will happen to you if you stray away from my word and you don't obey your earthly masters as a good slave, you're gonna burn in hell. So I gave you an outward look of what hell was. So I had to create something that was over hell. So I had to look at the text to create something that was over hell. And I had to recreate another being that gifted you for being good. And now I created another being. All these things are synonymous. So I created one being that if you do good, you get gifts. And the other being's going to drag your ass off somewhere. I had to give you two extremes built off exploitation, addiction, trauma, repetition. So if I give you these images every month, every year, you never look into what it truly is. And if I say, okay, cool, you can be awake now, and then I put so much, and I demonize you just shit so much, then you want to stray away from the Bible or so forth in that aspect of itself. You never look into the same thing I gave you to feed you, to poison you, is actually the very thing that can save you from yourself. This is what you have to think about it in that context. All this shit is synonymous to your rising into your energy. That land of milk and honey that they want to look for, this is how you empower yourself. This is how you take yourself to the next level. Let's read a little further, sir. Everybody out there? Everybody out. Sin from the Hebrew letter, therefore the seed, semen, envy, hatred, ambition, them 7 deadly sins they were talking about. That's all that shit on that lower level. And when they're talking about alcohol in this, yeah, I remember this is he's taking his understanding, but he doesn't have the secret ingredient. And that made me think about the Powerpuff Girls, Chemical X, which gave them their superpowers. Basically, he gave them motherfuckers he basically gave them motherfucking melanin. Chemical X was that black substance that gave them their powers. So even in a cartoon such as the Powerpuff Girls, that was basically geared towards the women. Sugar, spice, everything nice, and that aspect of that to that aspect, everything goes together. But taking that aspect onto that level of that nature, to that knowledge, and then they had an episode when they had the Powerpuff, they had the boys, Mojo Jojo created the boys, the Powerpuff Boys to combat the girls. So basically, they were showing you like anything you can do during that whole campaign. Anything you can do, I can do better. That whole aspect of what you call it, that was further doing that programming. So when you start going back in your mind, in your memory bank, through your DNA, your memories, you start looking at these moments of like, I used to sing that song, or I used to do this, or I used to like this, or I used to like this. Why did I like it? Did you like it based on, and it's certain simple things like, I love horror movies. Always laughed at horror movies. I laughed at, when all the SOLS came out, I laughed at all those shits. When all the original Nightmare on Elm Street came out, I laughed at all those shits. I laughed at every zombie movie. I laughed at all these fucking movies because what it was showing to me is that it appeased my soul to laugh, because laughter is the voice of the soul. It made me laugh every time I looked at that shit. I looked at gruesome shit. I looked at motherfuckers getting shot. Looked at monsters invading shit. I always laughed. That's a part of your actual nature. Whenever the villain get away in a fucking show, in a fucking cartoon or a fucking movie, or the villain was winning, used to love that shit. They further program you when they put out Scarface. The bad guys were going through their own level. That was like the next level of black exploitation when they came out with Belly, Shotas, Paid in Full, those movies like that. They're not occult movies, but they can be encoded. And Brother Panic breaks that down with a lot of these movies. Those movies can be encoded to better explain something in interpretation. Those movies can be used to interpret, to help explain interpretation. I've done it in a couple of my lectures where I use Paid in Full. I use Ace and as three members of the same body all going through that same thought process. These thought processes that go through your mind as you're walking through your waking life are going to enable you to understand the signs of the distractions. There's levels to this shit. Levels. Better read about it. But yes, that's the whole aspect of that. And let's go into this aspect about, we read that envy, hatred, ambition, coveting, that thing. The capsule that holds the essence, born every month in Bethlehem. Okay, I'm here. Alcohol eats fruit of the tree of life. Gluttony is another enemy to regeneration. All excess food, and this he's actually going into the aspect of like all excess food that is not burned up in the furnace of the stomach in the intestinal tract, it is not properly digested, ferments and produces an acid which develops alcohol. So when he's talking about alcohol, he's not talking about the alcohol that you drink. He's talking about the alcohol that goes into your body based on everything that you eat into your body that basically turns into fucking acid. When he's talking about alcohol, he's talking about acid. He's talking about the unnatural forms of things that go into your body. Your body being that temple, do not decorate that temple. That goes into those aspects of the foods that you eat. That's why they can make a salad $7. I think it's like a salad at Panera Bread is like $8.99. But you can go to McDonald's and still go get a McChicken for $1. I don't even know what a McChicken tastes like anymore. I don't have the thought process subconsciously of wanting to know what a McChicken tastes like anymore because I did due diligent research of like, yo, I don't know what the fuck is actually in there. I remember when I watched the video on chicken nuggets, fucked my whole life up. Used to love to get a little 25-piece chicken nuggets, a little Szechuan sauce, and my little sweet and sour sauce, and go in. No more. Auto intoxication is common among those who overeat. That feeling of feeling weak and blissfully gluttonous and laying back and oh shit. That lethargic feeling that you get after you eat too much fucking food, that goes into the aspect when they went into Saturnella. And that was the first thought process when they the Romans and when the Moors did their pilgrimages and their Etruscans and the Phoenicians, and they left and they didn't want to be they were done with, they did everything they needed to do in those aspects of themselves. That's when they went there, and then they took remember, all they can do is esoteric work. All they can do is mind control and psychological shit. That's all they can do. They can't do anything. They can't do anything magic on the level, or they can't put any real magic or work in on the level without some type of power source, i.e. you. That's why then you go into the breakdown of like black ain't black. There's black people that aren't black and there's white people that aren't white and all that shit like that. And you start talking about going to New Orleans and this remember to the thought of New Orleans once again, going into that tract of New Orleans, and you think about that aspect of the Creole. These people have mixed blood in their system. That's why they get that. You have one drop of black blood in you, you black. But since they didn't want it, since black was simply a marker because there were free whites and then there were free blacks. The free whites were actually under the definition of what black is now, and the free whites, and the blacks, the free black man was actually under the definition of what white is. Turned everything around on you. So you take that aspect, you look at the gluttony, you think about Christmas, you think about these holidays, you eat yourself till you're full and eat again. There's people out here in physical representation. Obesity is more 1111. Obesity is more than just overeating physically. You can become obese in your mind based on the belief system and the programs that's put into your head, and you'll steady try to take in more. So that degradation of your temple, of your mind, your divine mind, is taking the information that no longer suits you, trying to fit into a space that you've outgrown. That's the same. That's under the same thought process inherently as obesity. Because an obese person is simply starving themselves of nutrients. So that fat cat, that fat preacher to get up there talking about, hey, and he breathing all fucking hard, he is starving himself of true knowledge. So since he's starving himself of true knowledge, in order to have that reflection, his flock, his sheep, his congregation, they must be starved of knowledge. So now he can maintain his level where he's at. A wise man is never full. Why does it keep going back? I guess once we read it over, I'm not reading it over. Alcohol, such as gluttony, is another enemy of degradation. All excess food that is not burnt. Auto intoxication is common among those who overeat. Most everyone overeats. The furnace, the stomach, is a digestive tract, becomes a distillery. When the surplus of food ferments, it becomes Babylon. And then they make Babylon seem bad. To home of unclean birds and beasts which pander in the carnal mind. Here we have the reason that sickness is considered a sin by the ancients. To heal the sick is to cast out devils, is the mission of the seed. He who is born of God cannot sin or be sick, for his seed remaineth in him. The blood of Christ cleanseth from all sin, therefore from all disease. Here is the psychological explanation. When the Christed substance, the anointed oil, that colostrum from the river of Jordan, back here in that little place right here, your sunken place. That's why when you saw, I think that's why, wasn't his name Jordan and Get Out? His name was Jordan. I think his name was Jordan and Get Out. When he went in the sunken place, it was water. It can be encoded, because it wasn't really a cult movie, Get Out, but can be encoded so that area, that was that river Jordan that he fell into. The oil in the spinal cord reaches the pineal gland and it vibrates to a rate, causes new blood, the new wine, turning water into wine. That clear fluid, when distributed through the elixirs, when your body's active and your body's in its optimum state to maintain the host for the god, that was similar to the show Supernatural the entire time when Lucifer wanted Sam's body because it was full of, he had to ingest a bunch of demon blood, or he had to, basically they were saying he was ingesting he had to ingest a certain amount of knowledge in depth, and then he was doing all the debaucherous acts, killing shit and doing all that shit, killing humanity. He was constantly killing humanity off and doing all these demonic deeds, all these demonic acts. That's what that strives into, all these demonic acts, because his body, he did enough work to unlock his physical, his psychic abilities, where he was like casting out demons just by his mind. That goes into that thought process of new blood in the wine. This is the blood of the Christ, and it heals and it infirmates. Consequently, even envy or hatred or ambition or covetous acts could easily inhibit the seed's ability to rise up the spinal cord, as surely as one's sexual release of semen. Hence, one's actions also play a direct role in this process. While teaching young Masons, I often ask them, to what end, why be a good man, for what purpose? I firmly believe that the lessons Freemasonry and the ideal of men being good have direct linkage to this process. They know, they know, they all now clearly line up if one seeks to even look up upon a clear relationship. Yet there's even more. Alcohol consumption is also a hindrance to this process, which is further aligned with gluttony of overeating. For overeating turns the body excessive foods into alcohol. In short, alcohol eats away at the tree of life. Therefore, in summary, the word secret is derived from secretions and directly original from the cerebrum, supplies the human temple, the body, with its life force of regeneration. The secretion of the colostrum oil is either enhanced or diminished based on the individual's behavior. Everything from gluttony to sexual gratification, the releasing of the seed, as I said earlier. The word secret is derived from secretion. The upper brain of the cerebrum contains the secretions, the gray matter, busts his head to the gray meat, creative, or that creates or builds and supplies the life force to the human temple, the soul of man, Solomon's temple, hence God. We're going to get into that soul man thing. The creator dwells within you. The cerebellum is his throne. Sit on your throne. Thus, by prayer, God within another way. Thus, by prayer to God within, and in no other way can a man overcome his adversary or his carnal mind, or the enemy to God. So the next time you act inappropriately, know well that your behavior, actions, even your thoughts may affect diminishing your ability to regenerate your body. But the last part this said tied into what I said in the beginning about the mind being all and everything being mental. Your actions that you're taking part in at this point in time are based on a human perception of yourself. Hold up this bag of chips. It's folded on a perception. You're trying to be human, and you're not human. Motherfuckers out here trying to tell you to be human, civil rights movements, they had to submit to the attributes of the ideal. Was okay, cool, we got to be humans for right now. Once we submit to these attributes of being human for a certain point in time, guess what happens next? We're going to go through that little child of God phase. We're going to submit to those ideals. We're even gonna push them so hard. We've been playing the trick on them the entire time. Because I remember when they started giving out the picture of the Black Jesus, and then now they're showing you pictures of the Black Madonna and all these Black saints. They're still giving you half truths to make you think that they're changing or they're bringing light to substance. But what they're really doing is helping you sustain this level of life or this level of death. Your key aspect to yourself to entice your soul is to give it the greatest gift, and that is you awakening. Tis the season to be a good old worker. And then there was an aspect about Santa and the elves and the North Pole and all that shit. That was just simply talking about the North Pole. And he goes down the chimney to the South Pole of your body, the negative aspects. And then it rises back up and it knows whether you were naughty or nice. That's synonymous with the path of Jesus. So when I put the post up tomorrow, because I'm going to put it up, it's a picture of Santa Claus with a pillow about to put it over Jesus' face, saying there only can be one. It's funny, but it's letting you understand that it's a synonymous link. The story of Santa is the same story of Jesus. That's their balance here. They separated it so you can understand it. They gave you myth, and then they tried to make it esoteric, and then they further separated from it to take it. So you have to understand both of these in tandem to put them together. Because all of our knowledge is infinite. So it got to come from many different sources. Man that knows one book knows nothing. So what are you going to do as you step the fuck up? What are you going to do when you apply your knowledge and your great gifts to yourself? These are those keys, fundamental parts of yourself that you got to tap into. No one else can do this work but you. No one else is going to take you to the next level other than you. You can have countless hours of information being given to you, but what are you doing with the information after you leave that space? Are you going back into your throne and sitting there and reprogramming your subconscious? Are you going to allow the distractions to get to you? We sitting in a good old 3 hours and 30 minutes almost. So simple for some people. It's common sense. You're going to get to a level where it becomes common sense. And other people ain't going to understand that damn common sense. And that's cool. You don't get to that level where you will understand that you are God. You got to understand that there's going to be constant constant bullshit thrown your way. It's going to be constant bullshit thrown your way. Move forward anyway. There's nothing more rewarding than what's next. You just gotta remove yourself from that veil of being scared of some shit. If you haven't already, subscribe to Get Inside, more links. I think this is my 11th one up here. Been doing this for 11 weeks now, so it's a very amazing thing for me. Every Tuesday at 6 a.m., the new episode on the God Hour, that's my podcast, by the God Alchemist. The God Hour is available on, I know for sure, Spotify. I know it's on Breaker. It's on 8 of the top platforms for podcasts. This week got into the power of solace. Last week was the eulogy. Week before that was, I believe it was Family Ties. 7 episodes in on that. That is for that. That's further more energy based on the content that I put into an hour of an awakening vibe for that rising into yourself. Next week, we're going to get into something even deeper. Get into that new hindsight of the 2020 coming. I think that's about it. This is that moment, that wind down period as we chilling, we taking all the information in. And this is where the question and answer period comes into play. Got a question. Remember, every question is actually an answer that has not been expounded upon. But from YouTube channel, podcast, I will be reopening the store in the next couple of weeks, the Co-Alchemy store, my Shopify store. I shut it down because I wanted to add some more merchandise. I really wanted to be at a place where I could focus on that. A lot of more things are coming out. I'm coming out with the spiritual classes, from everything from meditation to shadow work, getting you excited on that. I have the price list and everything I'll guess for that. A lot of other things are in the works. Other than that, 'tis the season to do more than wish for another happy new year in this same bullshit. Really reflect on everything that's happened in this decade and what you're going to do next. Your next move doesn't matter. The move you made before this move doesn't matter. What you did yesterday doesn't matter. What you're going to do tomorrow doesn't matter. It's all about today. It's all about this moment and what you're going to do. The future never sees the past, the present never sees the future because it's always stuck on the past, and the future never sees the present because you always stuck in the past. So all that matters is your present moment, your present mood, your present thoughts, everything you do in your present sense. And we always say at this time, I love you. We love us. Ain't nothing left but to burn this shit down. Ain't shit here left for us in this wasteland, in this Mad Max campaign. Let the dead lay with the dead. Plant your seeds and move forward. Learn, love yourself from the dark. Is that true light? Yeah. I did have one more thing I wanted to say. Been in my head the entire damn time. People are so late. People are so late to our gatherings. Gonna summarize it all. And this actually breaks down into the what's it called. This is the last thing I wanted to say. Jacob dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up upon the earth, and atop it reached to heaven. And behold, the Lord stood above it. And then you look at the 33 vertebrae of the brain and all that good stuff. And this is even further. This is stuff that they're not going to say. And then this is when you look at that fractions of information. And that goes into that 144,000 shit. When I see the blood, I'll pass you over. When I see the blood, Christos oil, I will pass you over, and there shall be no plague that will destroy you. That was in Exodus 12:13. He raised up the Christ from the dead, so shall quicken your mortal bodies by his spirit that dwelleth within you. Raising your energy is the only way that you're going to be able to save yourself. That's that saving of yourself. God remembered his covenant forever, the word he commanded to 1,000 generations, the covenant of Abraham, his oath to Hezekiah, and confirmed to Yaakov in the statute, is the everlasting covenant. On Mount Zion stood the Lamb. With him were 144,000 who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads, and redeemed the human race for the fruits of God within his Lamb. This thought process to itself for you is you. That's all it is you. You got to get out of the game. You got to get out of the game and into the skybox, basically. You're no longer a player in their game. You're an owner. You've always been the owner. Your power is the owner. You just have to gather your pieces and put yourself back in order. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have the link up in a little bit for God and Goddess Talk. That's gonna be the open live forum, and I'm also planning. That's what I meant to say. I'm also putting in the works the first live in-person lecture. I'll be putting up posts periodically on my pages. Because I'm trying to find the first place to actually do the live lecture, like the first city or state to do it. That's also in the works. But other than that, yeah, that was about it. Y'all take y'all ugly asses to bed. Peace.